What's up and welcome everybody to the party. Gotta plug in this light over here, otherwise it's just gonna be too red. Good morning, Grand Rising, and hello to everybody. Let's get these mics right here. Oh, that's what I didn't do. I gotta get the vibey lights going. Very important part of this whole situation is getting the vibey lights going. Purple. Let's just go. We're going with purple today. Oh, welcome to Human Design and Chill, where I, your host, Reikimarco, am sometimes chill, but sometimes I get not chill, hopefully in the right ways. Welcome to the show. It's Monday, March 17th, 8:53 on Maui, Hawaii. I was just too excited to wait the extra 8 minutes and go live at my regularly scheduled time. But for a lot of people that their states or wherever they live practice daylight savings time, I'm really late. So anyway, here we are, and we are going to talk about I don't know what. This is usually how it goes. One of the ways that I'm able to stay consistent is that I implement a strategy completely of my own making, which is don't be too consistent. Don't have too much of a strategy. As a reflector, that's something that I've sort of surprised myself with. And not that having a schedule wouldn't necessarily make me more efficient, but this is something that I genuinely don't want to be doing if I don't want to be doing it. Does that make sense? One of the biggest hurdles or obstacles to overcome as a reflector, sorry, let me turn that reverb off, is when I overcommit myself to something, and then now I don't know if I'm doing it because I committed to it or I'm doing it because I actually want to do it. Satari Vlope, we've already talked about this, my friend. Like I said, please send an offer to my email, Reiki Master Marco, or actually go to support at reikimarco.com. Send her actual request, not in the lives, please. Steven, what's up, brother? Is it possible to see your hair? Like I said, send a request or look for it in the video. I'm not gonna be negotiating hair cutting. I don't let anyone cut my hair. Understand that. Like, you have to be a very special person for me to even consider letting you cut my hair or be offering me a ridiculous sum of money. Um, One of the things about that that's actually kind of interesting is, like, there is a number that I would take to let you cut my hair. You probably won't afford it because it's not worth it to you, but for me, like, $10,000 to cut my hair, that would actually have me consider who you are and actually let you cutting my hair. $10,000 seems ridiculous for a haircut. It's because I can do it myself, and energetically I do it better than anyone else. I'm not doing this for aesthetic purposes. I'm cutting my own hair for energetic purposes and cleanliness purposes. Like, there's so much to be said about how self-care has been outsourced. Like, people go get their nails done by by somebody else. They go get massage work done by somebody else. And it's not that any of those are inherently bad, but how many of these things that you're doing are actually supposed to be done by your hands, by yourself? And that's part of the things that keeps you healthy. I'm not really here to say what is right and what is wrong. I'm just here to say what I do versus what other people do, because that's all I can keep track of. I want tea. I want tea, so I'm gonna get tea. Anyway, that's that. Good morning, guys. Gate of Crisis is almost over. Right, by the way, let me get some likes and love in the chat if you're excited about the Gate of Crisis moving out of transit. And actually, real quick, before we get too excited, what are we even moving into? Let's find out. Let's find out together. What do we got coming up? Gate 25. Innocence and commitment. Wow. To follow up crisis and friction with innocence and determination. It's not necessarily commitment. But what we got next coming up is that you will feel more innocent and understanding of others. You will be more repelled by bad ideas. That's why you should try and focus on the positive things and higher vibrations. People might donate more support, more humanitarian causes, and generally be more accepting. See, okay, that's this. That's what is that? Tomorrow? That's tomorrow. And then to ground that, we have the determination of the self, which is you will find yourself being more in on the right place in the right time situations. You will be more inclined to experience situations involving touching and sensations, from small ones where your coworkers will pat you on the shoulder more, or running into people by walking through a crowd, more profound ones such as intimate relationships. People will find it more appealing to take care of their physical bodies and work out, as well as overall wanting to experience stuff that makes them feel connected to the material world, be it in a negative or positive way. That's the next transit, which is like kind of, it seems very hopeful. It's G center gate 25, and gate 46 is also G center. So it's a very G center oriented day. For any of my archive people, next week is going to be a great time to be practicing any of the G center or heart stuff. Sacral stuff as well, because these 46 connects to the sacral and the 25 connects to the heart. So it does sound nice, doesn't it, Joy? Part of the transits, and one of the ways that I'm using the transits now, is not necessarily just to let me know energetically what's going on, but also which parts of my body to saturate. Essentially, the transits are introducing a heavier flow of neutrinos into our lives than is usually in our lives. And so if we can learn how to take advantage of that, one of the ways that I'm taking advantage of that is by literally doing the classes in the archive, the sensory design classes that are associated with these centers. Again, G center, heart, and sacral. Those are the three classes that I'm going to be doing this week. And it's going to help me saturate the organs that are associated to the energy centers that are being affected by this transit. What I mean by that is, for instance, this last transit, I've been doing a lot of solar plexus stuff, because we had gate 36, which is in the solar plexus, part of collective circuitry, and then we have gate 6, which is part of tribal circuitry, also in the solar plexus. When you stop looking at human design like some kind of like mental checklist that you need to check off, and you recognize that it's an actual training program, life is going to change. I'm talking about how to use the transits in tandem with sensory design, which is a system that me and my buddy Pasha are pioneering together, which is a somatic approach to human design. So like, for instance, the last week we've had the solar plexus, gates in the solar plexus be in transit. The sun and the earth are both in solar plexus gate. That's emotional authority. So what I'm doing is that instead of just training like I normally train my physical body, I'm training specifically my solar plexus, which is primarily this like midline celiac ganglia nerve bundles that touches everything. It's a lot of like working on the spine. It's a lot of inducing uncomfortable situations for myself, and then asking myself to just tolerate those situations and just allow myself to relax in situations when it's stressful. The reason why this is cool is because when it comes to human design, you know what you're supposed to do. Everybody knows their strategy and authority. Why is it that they're looking for, oh, what does my incarnation cross mean, and what's the best career? Like, they're asking so many questions, even though human design says already, follow your freaking strategy and authority. Why are you guys asking other questions? Well, because you want to know what physically you're supposed to do. And part of what you're physically supposed to do in life is cultivate tolerance for the uncomfortable things in life. Especially, one of the lessons that the solar plexus teaches us is how to discern truth from not truth, and not necessarily certainty from not certainty. We're talking about, is there emotion happening inside us? Is there movement? Is there pressure that's building up? Is there heat that's building up? Or is there pressure that's being leaked? Is there energy and temperature and heat that's being leaked out of our body that ultimately we don't want to be leaking it? Or if we do, we want to be consciously venting it, not just unconsciously venting it on our friends. We want to consciously be venting it. And so one of the ways that I've been using this transit, which is very heavy solar plexus energy, is I've been laying on my ball. I've been working my spine. I've been strengthening and saturating the solar plexus. I've been the physical counterpart of the solar plexus in human design system, in the body graph. I've been strengthening that. I've been saturating it with blood. And I've been doing this as an experiment. Recognize I've been doing this as an experiment to see if this isn't going to help me navigate things more readily, and 100% it has. I'm obviously subjective to my own experience. It's impossible for me to be objective. I just have a body, so it's impossible for me to be completely objective. But if I could get as objective as I could, one of the ways that I see this helping the world is by, instead of giving them permission to run away from the things that are challenging, it's giving them permission to like run through the things that are challenging and become stronger without necessarily having to risk it all. What do I mean by that? So gate 36 and gate 6, crisis and friction, these are part of the human design system. If you don't know what your human design is, go to my website, pull up a body graph. It's totally free. Gate 36 and gate 6 are both in the solar plexus, which is emotional energy and emotional awareness. One of the things that this center does is it uses pressure and heat. It uses sensation as a way of helping us discover the truth. So during this time, this past week, there was more energy, more energy in the solar plexus, in crisis and in friction. So things are going to appear like, oh, you're going to be more aware of the crisis, or you're going to be less aware of it. It's a more or less kind of thing. Like you might be running away from it. I should say you're either going to be more aware of the crisis and the friction in your life, or you're going to be more bypassing of those energies. However you are with it, it's a great opportunity to learn, oh, this is how I am with that energy. From there, what do you physically do? You still follow your strategy and authority, because regardless of how your transit changes or your body graph changes throughout the transit, your body graph doesn't actually change. It just gets layered on top of, and the transits are temporary. So regardless of how your body graph changes, you're still supposed to use your strategy and authority. But there are other elements of the human body that you're able to access in a more consistent way, mainly being crisis and friction, the centers or the gates that are in transit with the sun and the earth. So again, I'm doing things during this transit to push awareness into areas that don't usually get lit up by my awareness. I'm pushing by pushing awareness, I mean I'm shoving blood into these areas. Quite literally, like shoving blood into them. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look at my hand. Okay? Not shoving blood into it, shoving blood into it. Can you guys see the difference? Not shoving blood, shoving blood into it. Here's me cutting off blood from it, sucking blood out of my hand. Shove blood into it, suck blood out of your hand. Anyway, where do we find this for the materials for practice? I forgot. Oh, so part of the practice is, or the practice itself is learned. I can't teach it to you. What I can teach you is the basics of sensation, right? The basics of sensation, in that if you build a relationship with pressure and temperature starting in your face, you can start to build out this, again, map of your body. And so for anyone that wants to do that, come join my membership. I have a private membership. It's $37 a month, or $333 for the entire year, which is like, if you think about it, for the entire year to have access to this membership, it's like $50 more than a one-on-one session with me. And I priced it that way on purpose because I genuinely believe that if you spend a year in the archive, that will be more valuable than a one-on-one session with me. And the reason I say that is not because I don't think I'm good. The reason I say that is because, think about it. If you are always looking to somebody else to fix you or to tell you what moves to do, you will forever be trapped in that. If you actually cultivate your inner authority, like what we're showing people how to do in the archive, you will be free of that forever. And you will be able to actually discern who is able to teach me something versus, oh, who's inspiring and who can I replicate. And there's two different types of people in the world. There's people that stick their toe in the pool and then jump in, and then there's people that jump in. And one is not better than the other. but that you have to jump in. So anyway, the archive is, you can access the archive and get your subscription via the link in my bio. I highly recommend the year-long one just because it's literally the best deal ever. And by the end of this year, the archive is going to be a lot more expensive to access. It's not going to be as affordable as it is right now. So anybody that's in though and has a subscription, we're not going to increase the subscription on you guys. So anyway, the exercise ball that I was using for my celiac ganglia stuff, for my solar plexus stuff, is this thing. This is called a paraball. It's a 10-pound paraball, and I was laying on it. And there's other drills and stuff like that, but again, you really got to go through the entire sequence within the archive, because if you don't, again, these are just exercises. When you actually go through the sequence and you understand the concepts behind them and what it's actually doing to your body, that's when you actually get behavioral benefits from doing exercises. So I'm gonna say, where do come from all those exercises? So these exercises come from I get, you wouldn't necessarily call it a body of work because so many people have studied the nervous system, but it's like neurological reflexology, neurological locomotion. We're looking at how the nervous system influences the biology. And we're looking to prioritize healing and making the nervous system feel safer so that it can be more sensitive without being overloaded, if that makes sense. And so in the archive, some of the first things that we teach you is how to unglue your eyes from your head and how to get your inhales to be more than inhales. And I can show you guys right now. Look at my eyes. When you're able to keep your eye on a target and look in another direction without moving your eyes, a lot of the times it's like that's going to help you in ways that we can't even comprehend. I need this so bad, so does my daughter. ADHD is driving us crazy. Right. And ADHD, not to say that it's not a real diagnosis, but it's like the cure to ADHD is not taking a pill or altering your lifestyle and making everything fluffy and soft and ADD friendly. That's like it's not actually solving the problem. The real problem with ADHD and a lot of neurodivergent people and bipolar, just a lot of these problems that we're like labeling as problems, they're actually side effects of a real problem not being addressed. And the real problem is that at some point your nervous system and your neurology just stopped developing. And it's because of fear. It's because your mom and dad made you afraid of disappointing them. It's because your friends in school made you afraid of looking dumb. So you don't do this anymore. Right? So many people would not do that on live because they're like, oh, I don't want people to take pictures of me because then they're going to put it on the internet and people are going to make fun of me. Like, who gives a flying fuck other than you? No one. It doesn't actually put you in danger. Now, there's a difference between fear and danger, and then fear and just fear, and more fear and more fear. And this is where, again, people are trying to solve their problems with their mind. It's not, your nervous system is not in your mind, it's in your fingers and in your body. And the way that you train it is by just training it. But most people care more about like, oh, how does my six pack look? Or like, do I have the booty of my dreams? It's like, do you have the behavior of your dreams? Or do you really just care about your body? And so for people that actually want the body and the behavior, come join the archive. This is a completely different approach to fitness, a completely different approach to personal training and spirituality and human design in general. Because again, we're not focusing on either element. We're what we're focusing on is we're having a focus with a peripheral awareness. Meaning it's like I can focus on you without losing sight of all the important things around you. And this is what we're helping people do. So anyway, and come from consuming colors that made from petroleum as well, right? So this is the thing is I genuinely feel like all of the systems of oppression, like the bad food and the bad medical system, those are also side effects or symptoms of the root problem, which is the body's neurology. It's the stunting or the hyperinflation of maturity and stress within the human body. And what I mean by that is like if the human body really is firing on all cylinders, I don't give like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of poisons they put in the food, in anything, because if your system is firing on all cylinders, and this is my theory, this is a total theory, I'm not saying this is truth, this is what I'm building. I'm looking at all the poisons in the food, I'm looking at all of the temptations in the entertainment industry, I'm looking at all of the shadows of the world. Those are my training buddies. They showed me where I'm weak so that I can get stronger. So anyway, you will see results in the first 2 weeks if you do the drills right. You see results quickly, but then once you start to like really fall in love with this stuff, you realize you're not falling in love with human design or some system. You're falling in love with your body's ability to perceive reality. And this is the beautiful thing. Our system, we don't have a system. We're using the human body and the human system. That's it. The reason we pay, you guys pay for the archive, is so number one, that you can let go of something so that you can receive something, because the mind is so addicted to this, like, it has to be transactional, but also so we can like push this forward and we can rally the collective money and energy around, hey, let's make the hottest thing in life right now to just be human. And not that human design is bad or anything is bad, but it's like, for instance, I was doing something last night with this new little thing that I got. It's an ocarina. It's made by this guy, I Am Sound, which is ridiculous. It's like $30. Something like made of wood or clay like this would be like $150. But anyway, super affordable. Sounds pretty decent for being just a little flute. I'm gonna turn my reverb on here. And check this out. There's like breathing exercises that you can do with playing music. Why is it that musicians have such evolved emotional bodies or perception of reality? It's because they do breath work while they're playing their flute. Anyway, little ditties. Super duper. Why was I even talking about that? Breathwork and flutes, guys. Breathworks and flutes. So I was just doing breathwork. I don't know if you guys saw. I was doing it's a circular breathing with a flute, with a tiny flute. Oh, why would you do that? Cuz I want to. Cuz I'm obsessed with turning every experience into something nourishing for my body on a cellular level so that my nervous system um, gets to grow all the freaking time. Pardon me, guys. Gotta pee. If you're enjoying this live, do me a favor, like it, follow, maybe give some gifts, whatever. Share it with people. Definitely, the algorithm loves to share it, but I just want to get this message out to people so that they don't spend thousands of dollars and waste their entire lives trying to pursue a piece of paper that they can hang on the wall. Anyway, love you guys. Be right back. Gotta pee. So you're awesome. That flute was nourishing encore. Yeah, I could bring some encore. Let's definitely do some more human design related stuff though for the time being. Skip the break. Here we go. Garrett, what's up? Your thoughts on transurfing. What does that mean? Happy to share my thoughts on whatever. I don't know what transurfing is though. So anyway, guys, I forget what I was riffing about entirely, but that's okay. That's what it means to be a reflector. Any reflectors in this live, by the way? If you're a reflector, Let me know. If you don't know what type you are, go to my website right now, generate a body graph, and let me know what your type is in the chat here. Also, if you have any questions, etc., bring it through. Getting some sun, buddy, doing some sexual alchemy, get my creative energy tempered, pumped to get back into the archive. Yes. Also, reflector, and guess what? I love you. I love you too, dog. Nature has the best the best breath work training for us. You don't need to go to a class. Like Wim Hof does it one of the best. He's like, yeah, just get your ass out in the cold and then survive. That's one of the things. There's a handful of ways to learn. At least the spectrum that I've discovered works best for me is there's a handful of ways to learn. The Western style, which is to have someone teach you, and then the Eastern style, which is to learn from a teacher. And there's a difference in between those two things, because even though they both are involving learning from a teacher, in the West we look for the teacher to give us the answers. In the East, they look for the teachers to give them the questions, and then they have to find the answers within themselves, which is the right way. Whichever one is the one that you actually need to do, right? Like most people in the West, most people in general now have leaned towards the mind. They look for teachers to tell them answers. What we think I think we need to be doing more is looking to teachers who are asking the right questions and then find the answers for ourselves. Because so much of our society is falling apart now because we have a few people who have the authority that are not able to service all of the people who are looking to the external authority for answers. People are waiting in line for surgery because they don't know what to do to heal themselves, right? And that's because instead of teaching people how to heal themselves, our society taught people how to go to a teacher, go to a doctor to fix it, rather than, hey, here are some of the things that you could experiment with on your own to heal yourself. And so this is a revival of that. Cena, hi Marco, Reflector 5-1, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we have to look to the body for answers, because if we don't look to inside, and it's not to say that the body has all the answers, but if we don't at least look, inside, off rip, and you immediately go to somebody else for answers. Like one of the things that I do a lot for people is they ask me like, what career should I work in, Marco, based off my human design? And I say, well, which career satisfies you the most, or which career feels like the most successful to you, or which career feels like the most peaceful or the most surprising to you? And people will be like, oh, I haven't really thought about it. And I'm like, you want me to just look at your body graph and just tell you like, oh yeah, you should do this because you have this gate here? I could totally do that, but I wouldn't actually be helping you. I'd be fostering a more of a dependence on somebody who can interpret something that you can't. And then you would just give up on interpreting your body graph or what career is actually right for you. And so this is a style that I have, and it frustrates me more than anyone, guys. Trust me, it frustrates me more than anyone because I have many teachers, but I don't look to them for answers. I look to them to help me ask the right questions. Occasionally, I will ask them for an answer, in which case they usually ask me really good questions back. But that's the kind of teacher that I endeavor to be, is one that's not giving as many answers, and just trying to ask the right questions. Carriers are overrated, and people are judged by that. Carriers? What do you mean by carriers? What's up, archive people? Oh, look at that. We got heavy on the archive squad today. Our archive squad is showing up. What's up, y'all? Yo, God, I'm so excited about some of the stuff that we're gonna bring through here. Is like, you guys think things are good right now in the archive? Like, they're just gonna get so good. Anyway, careers. Yeah, maybe you meant careers. But yeah, if you're chiming in from the archive, one of the things that I don't advertise, but one of the things that I love to do is during these lives, these are like my office hours. So if you are in the archive and you are new and you have already posted your body graph gallery in the body graph gallery, one thing that I do on these lives is if you have questions specifically about your design, I can do what I just said, which is like, oh, show you where you're looking for an answer. I can give you an answer, but then I can also ask questions around it. So like basically micro readings. And this is for archive people only, guys, just to sweeten the pot. And also because it's like, it's an exchange, right? Archive people pay 37 bucks a month, and then they get access 4 times a week to these lives where I'm going to be doing kind of like live micro session readings. Um, like I said, the archive membership is way more valuable than working one-on-one because you have 24-hour access to what I believe to be the cutting edge approach to human design. And I say cutting edge because I just don't see anybody else doing it. I don't see anybody else getting the type of results that we're getting. And it's just really, there's nowhere else that you can learn this kind of stuff, at least in the context that we're teaching it. There's places you can learn about reflexology and the connection between human design and the organs, but very few places where you're actually going to get like certain move sets, certain exercises to do to start to train specific parts of your body in human design. So anyway, open invitation for anyone in the archive, and do it through the private studio that you get access to within the archive. Just ask your question. I can go look up your body graph, and we can talk. And if not, totally fine. No pressure. Again, this isn't about geeking out about your body graph. That is fun, but really the whole point of the archive is to get people more deeply rooted into their bodies. And so one thing that we can all do together, because I'm starting to feel a little ungrounded, like I'm just talking for attention, which is a not self quality of the throat. Let's all get grounded together, okay? Very simple exercise. All you're going to do is smell, swallow, and then blow a cool stream of air out your mouth. Taste the air as it leaves your mouth. We're going to do that 2 more times. Smell, swallow, cool stream of air. Let your eyes look up. Smell, swallow, cool stream of air. Now we're going to turn our head to the left. Keep our eyes up and forward. Smell, swallow, exhale. Come back to center. Smell, turn the head. Keep the eyes forward and up. Swallow. Taste the air as you turn your head back. Do this 2 more times. Smell to the left. Eyes up and forward. Swallow. Taste the air. Come back. Smell the other direction. Swallow. Taste the air as you come back. And last time, because this feels good. Smell to the left. Swallow. Taste the air as you come back. And last time on the other side. Smell. Swallow. Taste the air as you come back. Yeah, that feels better. If you did that with me, let me know in the chat. Give me a dragon emoji. Give me with the dragon face or the dragon emoji itself in the chat if you did that exercise with me. If you didn't, that's okay, but serious question, why didn't you? Why didn't you do it with me? If you couldn't, do me a favor, just tell me why you couldn't. Because I'm not trying to shame anyone into like, oh, why didn't you do it? But you're never going to experience anything new if you don't experience anything new. If you always accept your limitations as what they are, you might have missed out on a notification that says, hey, your limitations are not your limitations anymore. There's actually different limitations that if you explore, you can find new limitations. Anyway, so serious question. If you didn't do it, why did you not do it? And it's not about like, again, making excuses, although recognize when excuses are there. But like, why did you not do it? I added tapping to the screen to the exercise. That's what I'm talking about, baby. You do tap with your pinky and your ring fingers as well, right? Instead of your thumb and your index finger. Because again, what we're attempting to do is like explore the wilderness of the body. A lot of people are afraid of exploring the wilderness of the body because they're looking for a doctor or somebody else to explain all of that to them. But if you explore, there's a very safe way to explore. And so anyway, doing this exercise, it's doing a handful of things. It's giving you access to your peripheral vision. Because how often are you looking that way while your face is facing that way? You're increasing your ability to access your peripheral vision. You're ungluing your eyes from your skull. Most of the time the eyes are just always focused on what's right in front of them. Being able to do this, it unglues the eyes from the skull. Some of the people that, if you did do this, you're experiencing relief in your neck. You're feeling grounded. Why? Because your body is saturated, not just with blood, but also with energy. You're saturating parts of your body that are usually like shriveled and dried up. Sorry if that's offensive. Not sorry if that's offensive. Hopefully you found that offensive so that you can find that part of your body and start inflating it with some blood and some energy. Resistance to swallow with the head at the sides, interesting, a lot harder. There we go. So now we're encountering resistance. What does that mean? It means that there's resistance. It means that your body has parts that are supposed to be functioning in a certain way but are not able to function. And so, what does it mean? It means do that more often. If you do it more often, what you'll find is that you can start to overcome resistance. You can start to overcome the self imposed limitations that society has put on us, which is, hey, you need an external authority to look at your neck. It's like, really? Because if I can just like, and it's like, this is gentle stuff. It's not like, crack your neck type stuff. This is like, use your eyes to relieve your neck pain. How do you do that? Well, just start exploring. And this is the magic, is like the more that you explore and the more that you experiment within the body in a safe way, the more the body will tell you exactly what it needs. Like when I do exercises and I have my private practice that's incredibly experimental, I'm like, I'm doing stuff with my feet and figuring out how to release stuff in my neck. It's ridiculous. So how do we release the resistance? You have to figure that out on your own. Like I could tell you, like you just breathe through it. But to answer that question, for instance, if you have resistance with this, right? One of the things that you can do is instead of going super far, you go halfway. And it's like, okay, is that harder than this? And if it is, great. And then you start to push the boundaries. Like, okay, last week I did this for 5 minutes a day, this exercise right here, and then I was only able to get this far. But now this week I can get this far. Every progress is progress. If you're at negative 100 and then now next week you're at negative 99 because one of these drills, great. That's progress. We don't need you to be at the pinnacle accessing all of your range of motion. That's actually what a lot of people really mess themselves up on, is they're like, oh, I can only do here, but I want to be over here because that's where Marco is. And they'll do stuff like they'll use their shoulder to turn their head. Their eyes won't actually be, their eyes will be like up over there. Like they'll be cheating themselves in order to get the quote unquote range of motion or the gains. Say I'm driving, I love this, and I will when I'm home. So Summer, this one I actually because there's not a lot of like breath holding going on, I'll actually do this one while I'm driving. I won't go to like the extreme range of motion, but I literally will do some slight head turns, smelling, swallowing, and tasting as I'm driving. I'll literally do this while I'm driving. Why? Because it's like keeps things fresh. So anyway, I did the first one, then continued eating my sushi roll because it's delicious and the taste makes it very appetizing. Roberta, that's great. I love the honesty. Hi, Marco. I get stuff that comes up in that resistance, like emotional stuff. I've had to stop and come back. Yes. So that's exactly, and like we were saying, how do we let go of resistance? Well, we encounter it. We allow ourselves to encounter the resistance. We let the resistance do some things to us. We do some things to resistance. It's like a relationship with a part of yourself that is afraid. It feels like it's in danger. There's all these different dynamics to it. And the way that you work through it is you just have to work through it. You have to put yourself in those situations where you're able to even work through it, which is what these exercises are doing. Caught the calibration just before this live, trying to figure out a sound for not at the moment. When you ask, do you feel emotional? Usually I'll have a blank answer. The app closed, but I was able to restart within the first two questions got triggered. I am now sound. Right. And as a non-sacral being too, a lot of the times I'll do my own sacral calibrations, not only because I have to edit it, because it's fun. And a lot of the times my sacral is like, eh, which means it's like my sacral isn't necessarily generating or not generating. It's like which is for undefined sacral people, that's huge. Just getting okay with being like, mm, there's a lot of subtleties in those. Those are called sacral sounds, by the way. They come from your nuts or your ovaries, and the more that you listen to them, the better a read you will have on your sexual and creative energy. Like sometimes your mind really wants to be creative, but your gut is like, eh, maybe it really wants to read. Ooh, maybe it really wants to do some soft tissue. Oh, but it doesn't want to create in the way that you want it to create. It doesn't want to make music or paint or whatever. And so your mind is like, oh no, we need to create. But you're the part of you that is literally creative, that can create life, and where all creative energy comes from is like, eh. So if you don't listen to those sounds that are coming from inside of your body, eventually what happens is your mind becomes a tyrant. Your mind colonizes all of the organs in your body and says, sacral, you create when I want you to create. I don't care if there's not crops growing and if you have enough food to feed yourself. I want this and I want it now. That's what the mind does. And usually it's the mind of a toddler, because that's when a lot of these systems start to shut down, is in toddlerhood. Is there a connection to eating meat and human design? There is actually. And human design has a lot to say about consumption, and especially like the mechanics of consumption, because one thing that a lot of people hyper focus on is what they're eating and not how they're eating it, right? Like what I mean by that is in human design, part of our determination or our digestion explains to us the circumstance that we ought to be eating, like in the light or not in the light, with loud sounds around or with not loud sounds around, with a heightened nervous system, activated nervous system, or a calm nervous system, right? It tells us exactly how we're supposed to eat. It doesn't tell us what to eat. And what you realize after, or what I've realized after many years of eating according to my determination, is that it's the environment that helps to inform my body what to eat. If I'm in a low sound environment, I usually make better decisions about what to eat than when I'm in a high sound environment. If you're a direct light or indirect light person, if you eat in your environment, or if you put yourself in your environment to help you determine what it is you're going to eat, that helps a lot, because it's a moment of asking, not is it time to eat, not what should I eat because everybody else is eating, not I should eat this because I'm on a diet. It's, hey body, what are we getting ready to receive? It's like, it's almost like tuning into the future and being like, what are we going to digest well today? Versus like, what is everyone else digesting? See, this is where the mind becoming a tyrant within the body sucks ass. And everybody knows it already, but how do you get out? You have to enliven and strengthen the body. It's so simple. You escape the matrix by showing the matrix that it's just a program. The head on its own has very little power. The head's power comes from its ability to rally physical bodies around it. An idea is literally just an idea until someone brings some dragon energy, some physical energy to actually help manifest the idea. And it's so important to recognize that, because always in your body, there's temperature being read, there's pressure being read, there's things that are being processed in your body and that are providing a lot of insight into what should I do next? What career should I have? What is my energy directed towards? But if you don't learn how to tune into the body, you're always looking outside of yourself for direction. Then you're starting to get into this track of like, oh, I let the outside determine what's going on the inside, rather than the natural trend, which is using the inside to determine what's going on the outside. There's people who are created by their environment, and then there's people who create their environment, and one is not better than the other. Essentially, though, if you don't like the way that the environment is creating you or manipulating you, Shift your fucking environment. You're not a tree. You can move. Doesn't matter if you have a whole life built somewhere. You can move out of an environment that's not conducive for you. But the one thing you're going to realize when you move is that your inner world is still there. And how much of your inner world is creating an environment that you don't want to participate in. That's where sensory design says, hey, before you move, before you leave the relationship, let's explore. Can you turn your head all the way to the left and swallow? No. Why not? Well, that's not my problem, friend. That's your problem. I can do that. And it's not like oh, I work better than you. It's, I've been using my body more fully than you. And is that better? I don't know. I don't have the problems that you have in your mind and in your body. So you tell me, do you want to have that problem still or do you not? What if the answer is as simple as learning how to turn your freaking head, smell, swallow, and taste air? Like, what if it's that simple? What if all you have to do is spend a few hours a week dedicating yourself to doing seemingly really silly exercises that over time help you build out your nervous system so that you're no longer afraid to do the things that you want to do, or you're no longer afraid to say no to people that you don't want to do anything with. This is about feeling safety. True sense of safety doesn't come from being in a safe space. It comes from being the safety in the space. You recognize what I'm saying here? If you have a safe space, all it takes for that safe space to become no longer a safe space is for someone to come in with the intention of disrupting the nervous system of whoever it is that's holding the safe space. I can pretty much go and I maybe one day this will be my job. I can go into like any monastery, any dojo, any training, and I can intentionally disrupt the nervous system and the safety of the space. And it's not like I do that for fun. I do that automatically as a part of my design. And I feel like I've been working on doing it in a more graceful way because I know it's very upsetting to people. But as a reflector, especially a 3-5, I'm here to like, oh, you said this was safe, but what if I do this? And they're like, well, don't do that. And I'm like, but what if I wanted to do that? I could do that, right? And they're like, yeah, but that doesn't, adhere to the safety of our space. Well, what are you gonna do to me if you're gonna kick me out? Okay. So how safe is this space really? If people can do this and you're only what if I don't want to leave? Can you force me to leave? No, you can't. Because I have martial arts training. You can't force me to do anything. So how safe is this space actually? It's like I think about a lot of the times, medieval times when they would build castles and stuff. And they would build castles and say, this is the safest castle ever built. But then an army will come along and take the castle. And it's like, how safe was the castle actually? It depends on the living beings that are making that space safe. And so why are we going to try and build safe spaces when we could just build safe bodies and then everywhere we go is safe? Are we talking about physical safety, specialty, or emotional safety? There's no separating the two. This is probably one of my biggest gripes, and I'm not getting angry at this. It's so activating because why are we talking about emotional safety and physical safety as though they're not the exact same thing? Because check this out. If you don't feel emotionally safe, like let's say we're having a conversation, let's say I call you out on some stuff, and you're like, Marco, I don't feel emotionally safe here. And I'm like, okay, do you feel physically safe? They're like, yeah, I don't think you're going to hurt me. And then, so it's like, so if you feel physically safe but not emotionally safe, what is that about? Where is it that you are making up some kind of story or there's some unprocessed emotion in you to the point where you feel physically safe but emotionally unsafe? What is that about? You think I'm emotionally manipulating you? Then you're physically not safe either. You see what I'm saying here? It's like there's not a distinction between emotionally safe spaces and physically safe spaces, because if you feel emotionally unsafe in an environment, you're probably physically unsafe as well. And if you feel unsafe in an environment, you can blame the environment or you can blame your lack of internalized safety. And you can be delusional with this as well. You can be like, in a room full of sharks being like, I'm safe, I'm safe. If your body doesn't believe it, your body doesn't believe it. It doesn't become a part of reality. We believe each other. Like if someone goes into a shark infested tank and comes out unscathed, I believe that his body believes that he was safe. Therefore, he was safe. You guys see what I'm saying here? It's very important to recognize these subtleties, because this is the way that the mind and society and all of these forces that wants you to be pacified and out of control and feeling like you need to go to their doctors and their lawyers, etc. It's so important to remember that, like, if you don't have safety online and within yourself, everywhere is going to feel unsafe. I feel there's a great line slash distinction between the two in terms of intention. Yeah, it is, but then what is the intention? Is the intention to talk about it, or is the intention to do something about it? Because again, for me, it's like when people say they don't feel emotionally safe, I'm curious, what part of you actually feels vulnerable? Can you point to your emotions? Do you know what they feel like? And most of the time, the people that don't feel emotionally safe, they're not able to do that. And it's not like I need to put all those people under a microscope and study them, because I know what's wrong is things are challenging for you, and you've been taught that it's okay to run away from things that are challenging. If you can't materialize the words, or if you can't remember someone's name, how many of you shake someone's hand, you hear their name and you say, "Oh, sorry, bro, I'm terrible with names. I'm not going to remember your names." Fuck that part of you. Because that part of you is saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid. I can't remember someone's name." And you're affirming it out loud to somebody else. So this is where I'm like, dude, when people say like I feel unsafe in this situation, I'm like, okay, great. You want me to change my entire life? Do you want me to bulldoze this area so that you feel safer? Or are you going to take responsibility and make yourself feel safe? Again, what is the intention? I get so excited about this stuff. Obviously, I'm struggling to live with my sister that's a manifesting generator and I'm a reflector. Any advice? Become more safe. Make your nervous system more robust. Like one of the ways that you can tell if you really need to do work on your nervous system is if you're not able to actually like look at something for an extended period of time. Especially when you're living with a manifesting generator, if their frustration is a nuisance to you, again, what are you going to do? You going to fix them, send them to therapy, or are you going to come train with me in the archive and build that I don't give a fuck aura? Build the unfuckwithable aura by building an unfuckwithable body. Again, there's a reason why a lot of bodybuilders are assholes, because they physically have the authority to do whatever they want, but emotionally, it's not reciprocated. And it's because their nervous system is not calibrated. When they're doing their exercises, they're doing it for physical gains. They're not recognizing what emotional power is in this muscle, or what the how you say the ability to hold something close. They're just like, I just want big biceps, but it's like, bro, this is pulling things towards you. This is, I want to bring things close into me. It's not just physical gains. And that's a neurological thing. And those are developments that can't necessarily happen in the neurology if you're just so focused on the physical gain. So anyway, I'm assuming the same advice goes for burnt out projectors. Yes, exactly. Like, guys, stop blaming the generators and manifesting generators for being frustrated. Start blaming yourself for not having the faculties to deal with that stress, because you will always come across frustrated generators and manifesting generators. Even for the other generators, you're going to come across frustrated, not self, annoyed, pissed off, angry people. The problem is not them. The problem is the way that you are able to process those people existing. This is where unaliving a whole race of people comes from. Oh, they're the problem. Anyway. So with the feedback of our own emotions. So this now you're straight, now you're getting into something good here, because it's like, if you don't feel physically safe but you feel emotionally safe, again, what is that about? What is the gap? To explore the gap between where the physical body feels stuff and the emotional body feels something different. Because the emotional body will feel a bunch of stuff. And part of the emotional wave is to get the body to be able to handle it. You know what I mean? It's like, think about the emotional waves that you have when you're a baby. It's like, oh God, my stomach hurts. Ha, oh God, what am I supposed to do? What? I don't know what to do. Ah, you start screaming, and then someone puts a boob in your mouth, and you're like, mm, oh, I'm good. And then suddenly it's like hunger strikes again, and you're a toddler, and they're like, here, eat this food, and you're like, oh, this tastes very different than the milk. It's different than the milk, and it's helping my stomach. Okay, cool. I feel great. And then one day you're eating and you're like, oh, I'm eating food and oh, I'm full. I don't want to eat anymore. It doesn't taste good anymore. And your mom or dad goes, finish the food on your plate. You should be grateful for the food that you have on your plate because some people don't eat. And you say, oh, they don't have food. Oh, so I'm a bad person if I don't. Okay, I guess I'm just going to eat more. And then now you're overfull. And now the emotional wave is like, what the hell is going on? Like, I can't use my senses to navigate reality. Like, I have to just do what dad says. And this is why a lot of people have rebellious ass teenagers. It's because parents, thinking that they're helping their kids, teach their children how to go against their internal authority. Do you guys see what's happening here? Hopefully, you guys see what's happening here. There's a feedback loop that if you ignore the looping, it just gets louder and louder until it becomes incredibly destructive. And so again, it's like your physical body and your emotional body, similar to your mental body. Like there's no separating them. And if you want to separate them, just recognize like at some point you're going to have to put them back together. So wouldn't it be easier, instead of trying to separate them, to study them isolated on their own, if you just studied it as a whole? Distinguish for sure, discern for sure. But like, there's types of training, and this is what the archive is. The training will teach you mentally, much less mentally than your mind wants, mind you. It starts by training the physical body so that there's actually a place where your emotions feel safe, where your mind feels safe. There's a community where your mind will feel safe there, right? And it's not because we keep it safe, it's because we keep it real. And there's so many things about human design that are not actually helpful at the level that most people's bodies and nervous systems are at. That's why a lot of the times when people ask about variables or incarnation crosses or some of the more advanced things in human design, a lot of analysts will say, oh, that's advanced stuff. We can't get you there until you like really, really are using your strategy and authority. It's like, okay, so what am I supposed to do in the meantime? We wondered, so we created it. So absolutely, I'm discovering that as I parent, I'm allowing them to be in a safe place to perceive, right? Like, you have to protect your children from the part of you that wants certain things for them. Because I heard it once that like parents will build their self-esteem by stealing their children's self-esteem. That's allowing me to lean into perceive, right? As an adult, like for me, my job as a parent is to make sure my child is nourished and doesn't hurt herself too badly. But that's like pretty much it. It's not like give her love or make her feel worthy or any of that bullshit, because if I just make sure that she continues to live and I show up authentically with my love for her, that's what's going to teach her is worthy. That's what's going to teach her to feel what safety is. It's like I bought, these monkey bars things for her to play on. She's fallen off them a couple times. She's a little bit afraid of it. I don't say, get back on there, baby. You got to conquer your fears to try and be a good dad. It's just like, oh, you're afraid of that. Okay, well, you're a kid, so it's okay to be afraid. And this is the thing, is like, again, if you are disconnected from your physical body, which most people are very disconnected from their physical bodies, reconnecting with your physical body is not as hard as your mind has made it out to be. Your mind is putting this massive wall in front of you, when in reality there's a staircase. It's literally just one day, one step at a time. And it's actually very simple. But the mind's greatest tool, this is the devil's greatest tool as well, it's called drifting. It's getting you to think about, oh, well, if I quit, if I quit eating junk food for the entire year, that's a whole year without eating junk food. Or that's a whole year of having to take accountability for my weight and my ex. Jeez, that's a lot. I could start that tomorrow. And so the line just gets pushed back further and further. Zachary, yes, this is a bus. We are 100% in a bus. Oh my God, guys. Sorry I didn't see these chats over here. As a reflector, I want to create a life aligned with my purpose. I dream of leaving my 9 to 5 job and work for myself, but I feel stuck on where to start and what exactly to offer based on my chart. Can you please share some insights about my environment and how I can find clarity and what to focus on? I hear you so well about the safety, leave my environment and so on. I just don't know how to find the clarity and be in my own energy to find out what to do. I'm a reflector, dreaming of freedom, not being around people all the time, living with an MG, working as an assistant nurse. When I read my chart, I think it says I should work with people and listen to all the problems in the world all day, every day. I'm new to the archive today, shared my chart there. Brilliant, Sina. Thank you so much. Sorry, I haven't gotten to this comment yet. I just seen it. Oh, it's not that old. Wonderful. So anyway, you're totally on point here. Um, Brand new to the archive, so welcome. And a lot of what I kind of look to in the body graph is to look for where you might be conditioned to think that you need to be in a certain type of environment. And what I mean by that is like one of the most important things about manifesting the job of your life is to start living the lifestyle or start doing your job like yourself and see what you can get away with, especially as a, did you say you're a 5'1"? Actually, let me go check you out. Cena, about to find you, my friend. We're about to find you, my friend. There you are. So let's see. So fully open throat center and fully open solar plexus. So one of the things that I would say is at your job, because again, I'm like a where you're at is where you're at guy. Don't you can't manifest the dream job if you don't know what things actually feel right for you. So one of the things that I would say um, regarding your current state of employment, right? You have a fully undefined throat. So one of the things that you want to start doing is not talking, basically. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's like not making small chit chat, not doing any of that stuff. The reason why is because we're going to starve whatever part of your throat is getting attention and it's the wrong kind of attention. We want to starve that part. So anytime you feel like talking, just for the sake of attention or just in general, before you start doing that, take your fingers, put them on your neck, squeeze your neck in, and practice widening your neck. Do this 13 times because you have gate 13. And if you're having trouble doing that, by the way, just take your fingers, push them in, and then swallow. You'll feel the muscles. This is what I mean by the sensation informs the mechanic. When you smell, you have to inhale. When you swallow, your throat has to widen. So now you're just doing this instead of talking and just trying to get attention. Also, when you get home, use like a helmet or something and just like lay on it and just be soft and let it just go deep into you. Make sure it's like something big, like a helmet. You don't want like a soft ball or something like stabbing into you. You want like a big thing. And the goal is to be soft here. And anything that you're afraid of confronting or any uncomfortable energy, that's for your undefined solar plexus or your open solar plexus. So I would say start doing those two things with your current job, and you'll feel a lot more aligned, not only with your body graph and your purpose, but you'll feel like you're closer to knowing what your career is supposed to be. Sina. I love it. See, Sina, this is why we put our body graphs in the body graph gallery. There's a whole method to this madness that I don't even really fully comprehend myself. But anyway, the new community update and neutrino design makes me think there's a way to link the archive. Dude, Prana, I have been thinking since I saw that, I was like, oh my God, there's going to be some really cool ways to link the archive and neutrino design. That's my ultimate goal, actually. Um, and yeah, we'll talk to I'll be talking to Alex when he gives me some time. But again, like I said, that's where this is, because the delivery system is so important, and I love the archive. It's so great, and it's like I want more access to this information. So yeah, we're working on that. I'm scheming some things up. Again, it's like start before you're ready. Definitely are doing well on that. So anyway, Sina, hopefully that was helpful for you. Again, super important for anyone that wants to use human design as a way of helping to guide their career decisions or their relationship decisions. It's like, look, it's not about looking at what gate and letting that tell you what you're supposed to do. It's about using your body graph to discover where you're conditioned. And what I did right there was I was like looking at a body graph and I'm like, okay, fully open throat. Sorry, verifying my identity here on TikTok. Thanks, TikTok. Yeah. Um, Fully open solar plexus, right? These are the exercises you do. I'm an RN and I'm in the 11th week of holistic nurse coaching, if that helps. Yeah. So, and so again, it's like, I don't necessarily think that learning new things is the answer. Not that what you're doing isn't the answer, but it's like, you know, certifications, all that stuff is wonderful. But again, it's your physical body that you bring everywhere, and it's your physical body that flavors and um, adds flavor and takes away flavor to life from life. And so it's so much about you actually engaging in mechanics that are helpful for your type so that you can actually recognize when you're in the career that like you might be in the perfect career, you're just not like considering your body within that career and how you do it. You're just looking at the way everyone else excels at that career. Like you might be the best nurse on the planet if you give yourself permission to lie down for 2 minutes every 90 minutes, which I would also add that. Do you think your human design can be connected to thyroid problems? Someone told me that recently. 100%. 100%. But again, it's not your human design, it's your human. Like the reason why you have thyroid problems is because there's some kind of imbalance in the mechanics of your throat or of your neck. And so one of the things I would do is if you had thyroid problems, I would do these pressurizing drills. You can plug your nose and push, and you can plug your nose and suck. And again, this is all stuff that we teach on the archive in greater detail, and we show you literally like, oh, this center is this gland and this system in the body. This is how to saturate it. These are the drills and stuff to do. So anyway, I don't know my human design yet. Just found you. Oh well, welcome. Okay, Kathy, you can generate your body graph on my website reikimarco.com for free. You just need to know your birthday, time, location, and all that. The rooster is very excited. So you say, "Oh damn, thank you. I've been struggling with it my whole life." Right. So, but again, it's like a lot of doctors will be like, "Oh, there's something wrong with your thyroid." And here's some thyroid pills, or here's a doctor's note so that your employer knows. But it's legitimately it's not even about that. It's like what are those systems that are supportive of the thyroid? What house does the thyroid live in? Maybe the house is too small or too tight or too cold or too hot. Fix fix the environment. Same thing that's going on with the mind, right? Most people's mind is suffering so much because the body that the mind is in is suffering and in pain and trying to send signals, but the mind is trying to solve the problems of the body rather than using the body to solve the problems of the body. That was a lot of like ring arounds, but there's definitely um, a very strange thing that happens when you attempt to use your mind to solve a body based problem. And it actually doesn't work unless you're using your mind to solve someone else's body based problem, because we have to use the mind to work properly. The mind needs to observe, and the mind in terms of the body has very little tools within your own body. It can very much so see in other people, but it's very hard to see in yourself. Sina, yes, thank you so much. You're welcome. Great question, and not to say sorry because it's a cop out answer. I'm used to that. I'm used to wanting to give people a direct answer, right? Like I'm used to wanting to say something along the lines of like, oh well, your Mercury is in gate 27, so taking care of people is going to be a wonderful career for you. But it's like again, you're already in that career, so it's like how do you make that better, and again, the real question is how do you manifest the lifestyle and the intention and the patterns of the career that you want right now where you're at. That's one of the best questions you can ask yourself is like, where am I at actually? And and how long have I been waiting for the right career to start living my life the way that I want to live it? Start living it now. And yes, it's going to be challenging. Yes, there's going to be people like, why are you laying down? And you'll be like, oh, I had a anxiety attack, and just fucking lie to them. You know what I mean? Like, I have regular anxiety attacks, so I need to lie down. People are super inclusive and accommodating of that stuff nowadays. But you're not laying down because, you're beaten by your anxiety. You're laying down so that your body can process all of this stimulation. And that makes you better at work, right? As long as you don't take advantage of that and start to abuse that, you'll be fine. And again, like I said, in 2 to 3 years, you might realize like, I've been working the perfect job all along. I just have not been doing it like myself. I've just been looking at everybody else trying to be like, oh, this person does that, so I should do that. Especially of like, you wanting to be in control of things. Like there's things you can't control. Lay down and process that. Don't like let your mind just run on, oh, I gotta control this, and just if this was happening, this would make things way easier, etc. The more safe you feel in your own body, again, the greater everything is going to be. And now it's time to pee. Excuse me. If you guys are enjoying the live, do me a favor, like the live, share the live. Love you guys. Time to pee. And we back, and we back, and we back. By the way, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but I have a pimple. See that? That's a pimple, guys. I don't usually get pimples, which is why I'm kind of excited about this one because I've been watching that part of myself that is like not able to unsee the pimple. And yeah, it's been really fun to watch that part of myself because it's like my mind wants me to be insecure, but my body doesn't feel insecure about it. I'm 32. I turned 32 last, not yesterday, but the Sunday before that. I turned 32, and it was a glorious birthday, if anyone's wondering. Um, but yeah, like I don't get pimples anymore, and I got a pimple a couple days ago, and it was, yeah, I guess it was really fun. It was actually genuinely fun to watch my mind attempt to be like, oh, like you're not as handsome as you once were, bro. And I'm like, oh no. Like I'm like not afraid at all. I don't feel like in danger. I remember when I would get pimples when I was younger, and it was literally like danger. It's like, oh, maybe don't go to school today because your pimples are really bad, or like maybe pop the pimples because then that'll make them go away faster, or like, anyway, is it one that hurts? It doesn't really hurt that much. Is it in your peripheral or not? I actually could see it in my peripheral, Joy, which is really hilarious and so funny because like the ability to see a problem but not focus on it oftentimes for me has been one of the greatest solutions, because it's like, and it's funny that it's actually you caught this, Joy, because this is the processes that I've been going through. Is I can see it on my face, I can see it in my videos, and so, but I'm not always looking at it. Like I'm not finding a mirror to like, oh, how can I make it look better? Or maybe I'll put makeup on it or something like that. Like we don't even have makeup here in the jungle. I don't think Emerald has. She's got like eyeliner and pretty stuff, but not like, what do you call that? Cover up or any of that stuff. But anyway, fun concept to work with. Because again, it's like at one point in my life, that was like a tragic moment for me. That was a crisis. This pimple was my crisis. And it's just not a crisis anymore, because the same things that shook you when you were a child, if they're still shaking you now, that's where does that show up? How much of an impact? Maybe it has no impact. That's cool. If it does though, what are you doing about it? Happy belated solar return, bro. 3 more days for me till new solar cycle. Yes, beef tallow, bro. Oh, yes. So we ran out of beef tallow, but I did get some for Emerald. Um, yeah, I'll rub some of that on my face for sure. Always, it starts within. Yes. It's trippy. I woke up with one this morning too. I feel the pressure, discomfort there, but externally doesn't really show. Thought it was a cool message. Yeah, so I that was the thing too, is that I definitely could like feel it physically on my face and I could feel the pressure there and it was not it didn't hurt, but it was like I could like a block. You know what I mean? Like a rock is normally where my face was really like soft. There's this like really tight point. And yeah, anyway. Life is fun. Life is really fun. Um and if you guys are in the archive, life is funner, because we are a bunch of weirdos in the archive. I tell you that. Cha Cha, that wasn't directly pointed at you. It was more so directly pointed at ourselves and a handful of others. But it's guys, it's like it's so rare. I feel like online that you're gonna be able to find a community like the one that we've been cultivating in the archive. Just because it's like I feel like everyone is trying to make money and trying to say they have the best thing or whatever. Are you streaming from desktop? The setup is wild. Yes, I am. Uh, in the community, it's just like we're not trying to be the best anything other than like the best version of ourselves. Which a lot of people say that, but it's very rare to actually find a community where people are actually able to do that and bring that online. And it doesn't mean the community is a safe space. I think that's a hack. I think safe spaces are actually typically havens for people who want to skirt out on accountability. Our space is very unsafe for the not self and for the mind. It's almost like in the archive is where the mind goes to get bullied by the body so that the body can reclaim its inner authority. And dude, I'm awakened conscious collective, my friend. We gotta use this software sometime to make some content because we'd have some good conversations, my friend. You're optimizing our humanness, right? And it's like I'm optimizing my humanness, or rather, not even optimizing it. I'm just prioritizing my humanness. Humanness is already optimized. I don't know if you guys know. We are already, without all of the technology and all the stuff that we invent, without all the extra stuff, human beings are already top of the food chain, depending on the environment. Generally speaking, human beings are top of the food chain. So we don't need to optimize anything. We actually really just need to like relax and enjoy being the top of the food chain. Is the way I see it. Anyway, safe spaces are for people who are full of baloney. Yep, Cha Cha, I agree. What is the archive? So the archive is an online membership. It's an online membership mixed with a community course learning portal. Right? And so the community is great because we're all supporting each other through what's called deconditioning. In human design, there's this process of deconditioning, which is letting go of who you think you are so that you can actually become who you are. And it's very mental in head and ajna. It's like, watch this, watch that, notice this, make this decision. Part of the archive, or a huge driving force in the archive, is like, what physically do we do? What are we physically supposed to do? So the archive is home to a course that we call sensory design. And sensory design essentially teaches you the method of deconditioning your physical body so that instead of, oh, I'm going to stop trying to solve all the people's problems, it's like you can do things to you use the physical body to push against that head ajna. I need to solve everyone's problems. I need to convince everyone I'm right. You physically, instead of convincing and running your mouth and trying to solve people's problems, it's like, I just push against your hand, mate. Activate the entirety of your body to fight the conditioning and to use the conditioning again as like a training partner. And if this is in anime all the time, right? Like in anime or in any story, the main character, the main protagonist, has to overcome challenges that are greater than him. Part of the hero's journey is about fighting the thing that's stronger than you, getting beat by it, and the temporary defeat of using that to learn how to get stronger so that you can beat it. And so in the archive, we show you how to physically leverage your conditioning to recondition yourself, to like make your body stronger. This isn't about being a blank slate. This is about recognizing what parts of you are filled in and just using that as a part. It's like a cover-up tattoo, if you will. My body is working through pain and purging. I've been pulsing. I've been pushing my hand into the pain. So this is something that happens a lot of times when people join the archive and they start doing the exercises. They start participating in sensory design and physical deconditioning. One of the things that will happen is they'll get sick. A lot of these sensory design moves, they'll flush lymph. They'll have, poop in your guts that hasn't moved in years. Sounds gross, I know. Lymph that hasn't moved in a long time finally start to move, and some people will get sick. And it's literally like a purge. And it's helping us to retrain our perception of a lot of stuff, of pleasure and especially of pain. Because a lot of people will experience pain and they have a very low threshold or tolerance for pain. And they're not even able to distinguish whether or not the pain is enhancing in some kind of way or whether it's truly detrimental. They just see all pain as, oh, no, not going to do that. That's painful. Why would I torture myself? Because if you don't torture yourself in the micro ways, then you will get macro torturous waves from your environment. Anyway, my body is working. Yeah. So if you want guidance and you want support, come to the archive. That's what it's for. But ultimately, it's going to be your body and us helping you lean into the pain in a way that's safe. Because there's definitely a super self-destructive way to do all this. And there's a way that's very self-destructive in the right ways. You're not like trying to destroy your body, but you are destroying your body. Anyway, let's continue. Do you think a streamer can be a good career path for a 5-1 projector? Depends. I don't know. How built out is your nervous system when it comes to streaming? Like with streaming, and a good example is here on my live. You don't just like have an audience. People don't just start listening to you. It's a lot of energy to deal with. And so, like, a lot of people would say, like, oh, as a projector is like, oh, you might be sensitive or blah, blah. Like, they'll just say a bunch of stuff. I'm like, it's streaming for a human being is actually a very dangerous thing. And I'll tell you why in a second. Is because streaming rewards the external authority. If I can play a game and be good at a game, or if I'm good at, like, doing a useless task like being a motherfucking NPC, it's like, and I get rewarded off of that. Like, how does this help me get food? Right? How does me talking to a phone do anything for me that's like actually practical? Like, and by actually practical, I get it. Making money is practical, but like genuinely, the mechanics of like running, walking, throwing, hunting, having awareness around what things we actually physically need to do to keep ourselves alive, streaming does none of that. And so the reason it's dangerous for a projector is because, or for anyone in general, is because streaming, along with working at a desk and working in sales and doing anything that does not directly helping to train the physical body in doing the patterns like gathering food, finding out where water is, organizing people into workforces. Those are like actually useful if there's no technology. All of this stuff with technology, it's dangerous because it's a castle built on sand. Because what if all the technology goes away one day and now your 3 million followers on your streaming platform don't exist? That resource avenue doesn't exist. You spent all your time and energy building that resource. What I'm saying is don't just go into streaming as a projector. That might be what the external authority says is successful if you have a nice house, a good audience, etc. But it's like if the internet goes away, like I got water, I got food going, I got friends with way more food going, I got hunter friends, right? And so I'm not just putting all my eggs into this basket because the basket is, it's like not even really a basket. It's like an etheric basket. This is not feeding me. I'm using the internet so that I can hopefully turn people on to the reality that like, hey, you need to do more than just feed the internet ego And when you're actually doing something, streaming actually becomes a lot easier when you're actually doing something. Like the reason I'm able to come on here and share this is because it's like I spend like an hour a day doing sensory design on my own. I don't watch the videos on the archive. Sometimes I will. Most of the times I just do it on my own because, again, the epitome of sensory design is that you don't need somebody to tell you what moves to do, what parts of your body to explore, or how to explore them. Your body is the thing that needs exploring. You're able to like let go of the guideline for a little bit. We just use the guideline to show you, like, hey, don't worry, you're not hurting yourself. It might feel like you're hurting yourself, but you're not. Well, how do you know? Because I've done it. Because I've done it and I haven't hurt myself. And the times that I have, quote unquote, hurt myself, or there's some kind of pain, something I don't understand, after 2 to 3 weeks of listening to it, that helps me. It helps me fix things in my body that need to be fixed. So, anyway, I have the bus. Yes, I have the bus. So, right, I've been working as a social media manager and as a projector. I feel this won't be long term. It could be. Again, it's like, in the sense that it's like, what are the things that are degrading you as a social media manager? Like, are clients annoying? Is extended use of your phone detrimental to you? Like, what is your metric of success, and how does your current job not fit into that? And then what I would need to ask you is, how can you reinforce parts of your body and your nervous system so that those things are less annoying? Right? Like if you have annoying clients that you have to deal with, right? Work on your neck. Why? Because if you get punched in the face and you have a weak neck and you get bounced, wow, versus and your whole body is able to take the blow with it, that's the equivalent of like having to deal with annoying people. This is the one of the primary juncture points where energy goes from sensation and I see this and I smell that to dropping it down into the body. So I'm kind of daydreaming for a while these days. That's a great place to be, honestly. Like I love daydreaming. And I've made a video about it before, but I'll like literally sometimes when I'm working and I'm like not feeling inspired to do anything on my to-do list, I'll literally just look out into the woods, and then my timer every 15 minutes will let me know like, "Hey, do you want to get back on task?" And it's like, "Yeah, usually." And I usually know what I'm supposed to do after that like 15 minutes of boredom. So, true, it's a matter of negotiation on how much I can truly push out. Yeah, and again, it's like there's so many stereotypes around projectors and reflectors, especially, that they're like very weak or they're like too sensitive to work a 9 to 5. But it's like I could work a 9 to 5. There's just no 9 to 5s that I would actually want to work. Like I could work a restaurant job. I could work. See, the problem is not that you're in the wrong environment. It's that you're not bringing the right energy to it. You're letting the environment dictate how you're gonna feel before. And you're saying like, oh yeah, I need to be in a better environment. It's like sometimes yes, but before you leave that environment, consider how like weak you are essentially, right? Or consider how much more there is to grow. And again, not from like a you need to be stronger or like, but like, dude, you need to be more centered in when things happen in the environment. If it throws you off your rocker, it's like, oh yeah, that was intense, but it's like, can you become more tolerant? So the view here is beautiful. I do teach a little. I wish for more students. I kind of wish they would appear. One thing as a teacher that really helped me a lot is recognizing that I'm not the teacher because I know the most. I'm the teacher because I'm the best student. And who are my teachers? Like gravity is one of my greatest teachers. Momentum is one of my greatest teachers. Combat and lightsabers are some of my greatest teachers. And so, if you want students to start following you, leave your students behind so that you can be a better student. Because the students are going to follow you. It'll be very clear which ones are actually in it for the learning and which ones are in it for other reasons. And again, it's not necessarily the answer that you want, but it's the answer that we all need, especially if you're a projector. Because it's like one thing about the projectors is it's like they want to make sure people are following them before they start the journey. Is like no one's gonna follow you unless you're on the freaking journey. I'm an Entronal student. I'm a generator. Yeah, so like be satisfied, dude. Like no one's gonna learn from you if you're not insanely satisfied. I guess one of the reasons why Pasha is such a great teacher is because when he's doing the exercises, he's so satisfied. And the reason he's satisfied is because he's a human being. And when you do the exercises in the archive, your body will feel satisfied and it'll feel frustrated and confused and doubtful. It'll feel a bunch of different things, but it will be feeling. It won't necessarily be this oh, I got a degree or I got certified myself in this course and now I know this stuff. It's like, hey, you either download this into your body, like we're not going to give you a piece of paper to hang on the wall to feel better about yourself. You either know this shit or you don't. And it either shows or it doesn't. Thanks, Ocean Beach Drum Circle says, what's up? Oh, Ocean Beach, what's up? I missed that stuff. They have one here. They have a circle here, which is great. Let's see. And eternal. What is that? What is eternal? Lotus. Eternal. Is it, are you saying eternal? Or is that in Spanish? I don't know what that word is. Eternal. It's my Hebrew birthday today. Oh, congrats. Eternal student. Got it. Yep. Eternal student. Dude, this Diablo 4, not just chatting. Zachary, I think you might be one of the first people on Twitch that's actually a human being. Are you saying I should play Diablo 4 while I'm doing this? I've thought about it before. You literally need to change the category. Oh, Zachary, I got you, bro. Thanks. I thought you were giving me a suggestion, but yeah, no, I definitely, I probably um, should change it. I'm gonna go do that right now. Thanks for embarrassing me. I really appreciate it. Apparently on Twitch, I'm streaming under Diablo floor. Is a strong neck a balanced throat chakra? Not necessarily. Like there's dudes with really strong necks that have super tight, constricted, cold, or like super saucy, like overly saucily hot um, lava throat energy, which is not like enjoyable to be around. Because again, just the physical representation is not always going to be housing presence and spirit, but also when it's not there, that also is like it's probably not. Like you see guys with like weak necks, it's like yeah, they probably have weak throat chakras. You see guys with strong necks, and you might say like, oh, that person has a strong throat chakra, right? It's like not necessarily just because it's physically strong. Again, I talked about it. You can go in and you can work out just your bicep. You know what I mean? Like your forearm will be getting a workout, your shoulder, everything will be getting a workout. But if you're just working out the bicep, all of your energy is here, all of the growth happens here. It doesn't happen in the connective tissue areas. So a lot of times people have strong necks because they don't want to get knocked out. But if you don't actually train the neck using the senses and you just train it like using physical like strength and overcoming that, then yeah, you can totally develop a strong neck but not really have any of the get out of here, buddy. But not actually have any of the behavioral stuff to go along with it. Needs a balance between flexibility and strength. Yes, like a tree. Yes, exactly. All right, so let's see where we're streaming. Okay, there we go. I'm streaming. Edit. Not playing Diablo. Education. Let's say just chatting. Here we go. Astrology. Oh, I already did that one anyway. Chakra. So would you recommending flexing your neck as a way to release energy? I would say rather than release, it's like process energy. Like the idea is to get information and sensory information into your neck. So it's not flexing your neck, it's swallowing. Widening the neck is a practice that you can do to enhance the mechanic of swallowing or the sensation of swallowing. How much of your body can you use in it? I know, Zachary, I don't know how much um, you appreciate, how much I appreciate you, but bruh, I definitely am now just chatting on Twitch. So thanks for that, homie. I really appreciate that. Yogi board, have to roll out, but this is Scott Brad. Check your DMs later. I have something for you that might be interest. Aloha, Keakua. Much love, Yogi. Scott Brad, thanks. I'll check my gram later as well. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's getting close to that time, guys, but my battery is getting low. There's a bunch of other tasks that need to be done today. So I'm probably going to be ending this live soon, but this was, as usual, a really wonderful live. You guys have been freaking amazing. Yeah, any last minute questions here before I go? I got a couple more in me, so lay it on me. You got some questions? Put it in the chat. 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 Oh, Scott Brada. Not Brad. Say, have you ever been gang stalked? And if you would, what would you do? Oh, very interesting. Gang stalked. Depends. If it's like if I'm like grossly being followed, like they're just like following me, um, what would I do? I would go somewhere that's like where I could like run away, you know what I mean? Like where I could like climb something that they couldn't, and then or that there were like police or somewhere around that could help. And then I would probably just confront them. I'll just turn around and be like, "Hey, why are you guys following me? What do you want? You want money? Here, take the money." Then I would probably just give them whatever they want. And then, yeah, that's what I would do. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's psychic. Like I've been getting astral stalked and spirit showed me who it is, but no one believes me. Oh, that kind of stuff. I had a feeling you were talking about that kind of stalk. Um, that kind of stalk, I would start drawing magic circles and I would um, basically try to become invisible. And if I couldn't become invisible and I still felt them stalking me or still able to stalk me, I would invoke some stronger magic. And either way, I would spend a lot of time doing eye exercises. Like if you want to see somebody coming out of the side of your eye, like you have to be, your eyesight has to be developed. And so I would do that. Projector working with generator advice. Coda, take time to put your hands on your body when it comes time to make a decision. Don't just like tune into what they're going. Take time to lay down. In terms of working with each other, projectors and generators are wonderful people to be working with on a team because if you let the projector guide, if the generator recognizes the projector's ability to guide, things go really, really well. The projector won't always be a good guide. Like they may not actually have the skills necessary to guide in a certain type of way, in which case you need someone with the skills. But energetically speaking, the projector and generator specifically don't get along because they have the potential to be so powerful together. And that's why they don't get along. It's because the generator just wants to do something that it enjoys. The projector just wants to be witnessed and appreciated as the guide. And until they do that for each other, they're just going to be annoyed with each other. Can you say something about gate 46? I have it in Design Mars and my North Node. Yeah, so gate 46, determination of the self. This is the transit that we're actually moving into. It's going to be activated by the Earth. But it's like the identity of like, I'm going all the way. I'm determined, right? It's the in a way, the polarized version of extremes, right? Which is like the extremes would be like, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm high pressure, I'm low pressure, right? Extremes, the spectrum. Determination of the self is really about like picking one of those and just driving it all the way home. It's part of a channel that helps us as humanity, as human beings go, is to help us Instead of oscillating between extremes, it helps us pick something and go super deep into it. So, yes, I'm dealing with an envious person spiritually who's stalking and attacking me. Yeah, if you have envious people in your life that are casting spells and magic and stuff on you, um, there's definitely something inside you that like wants to be integrated at a deeper level physically. Um, that's just what I'm getting. So I have gate 44, no idea what it means. Oh my god, these things are true? Question mark. Yes, a lot of them. Well, they're perceptions, they're perspectives, they're patterns that humanity has been observing over and over and over again for many, many generations. And so, while I don't necessarily say that all of these are true, one thing that I have recognized as true is that when you have somewhere to start, sometimes it's helpful to have somewhere to start rather than just like being lost in an ocean of swimmy, how do you say, esoteric discombobulatedness. Like gate 44 is alertness, which is like for me, I can tell your sense of smell is probably strong. I can say that when there's danger around, your ears are usually the first ones to perk up. Which, by the way, look at my ears. Oh, oh, more alert. There's an innate fear that the past is going to catch up to you in some way, and there's also the possibility that you think you need to be the best because you're aware of this kind of stuff, although you may not necessarily actually have the energy to be the best or really need to be the best. That might be there. Something wants to be integrated from me to the envious person. No, Cheska, something in you wants to be integrated into yourself. Because check, think about this. Why would somebody be showing up as a reflection of trying to like be envious of you, like steal something you have, unless you had something that maybe you feel like you don't deserve or that you didn't work for or earn, or somewhere on your in your psyche there are things that your body inherently is rejecting, is what I'm saying. That's why this person is showing up in your reality. They're showing up as an externalization of the part of you that rejects something that's with you or that is yours. Does that make sense? Some high level stuff, but if we're talking about like genuine antagonist energy, people that are like spiritually doing magic against you, it's like a wizard's duel is it's never like, oh, this person is like a an evil person and they're just attacking me because I'm perfect and beautiful. Not to say that that's what you're thinking, but a lot of the times when people are experiencing psychic attacks, it's because they're actually in a way addicted to the drama that comes along with psychic attacks. Oh my god, this person, they psychically attacked me. You said no one, and no one believes you. It's like, well, because no one else is experiencing that. Again, it's something that you're experiencing in your body, and so again, you don't need people to believe you. What you need is you need to explore the sensation in a way that doesn't just, oh, this person's evil, I'm good. In a lot of ways, you need to ask yourself, how am I the villain? What is the roles reversed look like? And this is just something that I do as a reflector oftentimes, is like if I'm feeling like someone is being a villain in my life, I start asking myself, how am I the villain in their life? Because that gives me a lot of insight in ways that I'm showing up that I don't actually want to be showing up in that way. And a lot of the times it's like, oh, dude, I'm just engaging with someone that my body has already decided I'm not going to engage with them anymore, but for some reason I still keep engaging with them. How do we use human design for guidance on the best food for us? So Roberta, if you look at, and actually let me go, you're in the archive here, so let me go check you out. All right, Roberta, let's have a look. So I can't see your determination, although if I was good enough at reading the tones, I could tell. Um, Let me get good at reading the tones. Um, Cheska, you're very welcome. Yeah, and it's again, I'm like, I'm definitely not the kind of person to be like, oh yeah, here's a spell to counter that magic. It's $300. It's like, No, dude, it's like just if the magic works on you, it means you're not a very good wizard. In which case, you just need to get better wizard training. In which case, the archive is the best wizard training that I know of. Okay, let's go get good at reading tones and stuff real quick. The color of your design sun and earth. So the color of the design sun and earth. Design sun. Banana. Yes, helpful, but also not helpful. Not helpful. Prana, are you in the chat? Because I have a question. If your gates are mostly lines that aren't your primary numbers, will those lines be more your vibe? Um, somewhat. Like, the most of the influences are going to be from the sun and earth on your personality side. Um, and again, most people are so conditioned that they're not even able to really recognize or experience the gates that are active in their chart. And the beginning of the human design journey is more so recognizing what's not you than what is you. That's why we created sensory design in the archive so that people could also explore what is them. Because a lot of the times what is you is a lot of like limitations and oh, I can't swallow or I can't hold the pressure in my mouth. Why is that? And it's like because you're limited there. So just go for it. So anyway, Roberta, I'm farting here. If you could tell me what your determination is, Sina, your determination is stimulant touch. So get yourself excited before your meals. Like do a lot of the upregulating drills, like the throat vacuums and the plugging and or the basically you want your nervous system to be more activated and more upregulated. This can also be accomplished by like eating while standing up versus eating while sitting down. Stimulant. Think like how can you stimulate your nervous system? Stimulate your nervous system with your food. Smell the food. Swish the plate around. Like do things that are going to stimulate your nervous system. Cold thirst. Basically, things that are below body temperature, and things that are liquid are going to be the best for you. And then also, when it comes to these kind of stuff, one thing that you want to look at is the mechanics. And so, like for instance, let me go to one of my little cheat sheets here. One of the important things for people with stimulant touch is going to be determining. So, like determining what food you have, which means choosing what food you have. Don't leave it up to other people. You pick what food you're gonna have. Um, let's see, what else were we looking at? Cold thirst. That's going to be about transforming. So part of what cold thirst is getting something from a solid state into a liquid state. So like blending up a smoothie, for instance, or making a iced coffee drink, something like that. Meditation groups can weaken an aura. You might need a break. Ah, interesting. What are we talking about over here? So friends who blame others. Those aren't friends. They're just like using each other. You're like it's like friends in training. You know what I mean? Is it important to be really flexible? Like, is it unhealthy if not energetically? It's actually, I would say it's probably there. You can be unhealthily flexible. Like, and especially people who do a lot of like hatha yoga and very yin yoga. Oftentimes, the dysfunctions with these people is not that there's any tension in their body, is that there's not enough tension in their body. Because when you go to the absolute extreme range of motion and then you just rest there, right? The body starts to incorporate it, says, "Oh, this is normal." It's like, "No, that's not normal." What's the optimal range of motion, and then you enforce that and build that. What's the by optimal, I mean, like, do you ever, when you're running, are you is your arm ever up here? No. So why in yoga are we doing downward dog for so fucking long when human beings are supposed to be, ooh, right? Why would you train up here when this isn't even integrated? And watch, look at this. See this? Unintegrated shoulder, right? Unintegrated shoulder, integrated. Why is that integrated? Because now all of the ways that the shoulder and the lungs connect, most of those are active versus before when a lot of them were unactive. It's like we move generally, if we don't have this centered or active, this stuff is going to be weak, and that's why there's a lot of injuries. There's certain athletes that never get injured because they train for functionality, not for strength. Lo, you're right on the friends part. Oops. Yeah, man, like friends that are gonna blame you. You know what I mean? That's like, it's important to, like, don't just abandon friends. I don't think that's the way. But if you feel like your friends are blaming you for things and you are calling it out and they're like not willing to take accountability for what's happening, just like break up with them. Sorry if you already answered this question, but where do the exercises come from? System that already exists. It's the nervous system, right? And but we're re-exploring it as though we're babies, and it's it's so cool because it's like we think we know everything about the nervous system, but that's only because we read it in a book. There's so much to be learned from the nervous system when you just listen to the nervous system. Like what happens when I pressurize my head? Like I could tell you all the things that are going on, but unless you like fill your cheeks up with air and try and push air out of your eyes and your nose and your ears while like containing like you're never going to know really. So the exercises come from your body and our bodies because we all share types of bodies. The aura, the human design part of it, is just what we use as a way of exploring the language or exploring the mental side of what's happening physically. So anyway, and not me, but just constantly blaming others. Yeah, Coda, if you got friends that are constantly blaming others, and you're, it's like, because for you it probably doesn't feel that good. You're like, why are we blaming these people? We're the ones that need to do this, or you're the one that needs to take accountability. I don't have friends that like if I catch my friends blaming other people, I literally say like, hey, why are you like projecting so much of this onto this person? And they'll be like, well, that and that and that and that, and I'm like, okay, well, why are you talking about it to me then? Are you needing to vent? Like, 'cause if you need to vent, like, go vent somewhere else. I don't want to hear you complain about people. Like, talking about people when it's usually not that constructive. But even when it is, it's only constructive to. I'm going to talk about somebody, me, Marco. I'm going to talk about somebody so that I can understand my role in the interaction, and only to do that. I'm not because I can explore, and I know because I've done this before where I'm like, I know exactly what this person needs to do, blah blah blah. I could talk endlessly on that, and it's such a fucking waste of my time. So anyway, it was interesting what you said about envious people is the same with a jealous partner. Yep, something unintegrated within ourselves we have then. Yep, exactly. Because again, like you got to recognize saying that you are a reflection of me is just a cute thing until you actually start to look at people who have reflections that you don't want to see and you start to accept those. Because, or rather, you start to entertain them. You don't have to accept them outright, but you have to learn how to entertain reflections of yourself that are not like, oh, so beautiful. I love this reflection. I'm so spiritual. You got to look at those reflections that are like, dude, you're a villain in certain people's lives, right? And this is different because you're not using it as a way of trying to, you know, what's the term? Chastise yourself for not being what other people need. What you're doing is you're looking at it from a perspective of where am I making promises that I'm not keeping, specifically to yourself. Where am I saying that, oh, when my partner does this, I'm going to do this? but you're afraid of something happening, so you don't do the thing that you said you were going to do when your partner does this. Like when my partner starts, gaslighting me because they're jealous, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut the conversation down and I'm going to take space, but instead you just let them continue to gaslight you. So there's a lot, and again, the reason for all of that, and there's so many examples I could use, but the reason for all of that, the reason for sin, the reason for going against yourself is because you don't feel safe enough to side with yourself. That's it. You don't feel safe enough to side with yourself, and that's the thing you need to work on. When shit goes down, you can always move to the butt. Exactly. Exactly. Well, and that's why it's like, I'm a huge supporter of sleeping in your own bed in relationships. I feel like sleeping in your own bed solves like 50% of the problems that people are experiencing today in the modern day. The biggest problem that people have is that they're not getting enough rest because they're sleeping in the same bed as their partner, and they think that's love. And when one of them wants to sleep in another bed or sleeps in a different bed, the other partner takes it personally and says, "What, am I not enough for you? Am I not good for you? Are we not compatible when we sleep?" And it's just a whole bunch of head nodding and bullshit. Is it that you created all these exercises, or you learned those somewhere, or it's a mix? It's a mix. Janine, Janine Dens Duvier. It's a mix. Again, we didn't invent, but neither did the people who have systems with those moves. They didn't invent that. The human body invented that, right? The human body invented that. When you need to fill your lungs up with air, that little sip, there's a little bit of oxygen in there that I can get. So if I'm underwater, I have another tank. This, that's breastfeeding. So it's like, no, we didn't create these. No, we didn't learn them somewhere else. They've always been here. We are looking at the things that have always been here, and creation happens on top of that. Like, we're not creating human beings. We're using our bodies, which create human beings, to create human beings. Does that make sense? Sometimes I say stuff, I'm like, oh duh, Marco, like obviously. But it's I'm not saying read in between the lines, but just recognize that every word that comes out of my mouth is just something for you to buy into. Until you actually experience it in your own physical body, it's always just going to be an idea. Where do I find my determination in my report? Definition is split, but I don't know where termination is. Thanks. So Roberta, it should be at the very introduction when when it's got like your main body graph. It says your type, your authority, etc. It should be right in there. Determination. What about distraction, personal? Neutrino app, it says power and then personal. Right. So in Cena, basically, um, power and personal are the polarizations. So distraction is personal. So your distraction is when you're trying to count everybody else's, or when you're trying to count your own wins as losses, right? Your proper sense is to be looking at who's winning and who's losing. It's not about you winning and losing. It's about other people winning and losing, and like keeping track of the scoreboard. Because if you get too caught up in if I'm losing or if I'm winning, then you start to get convoluted and get wrapped up in everybody else's stuff. Versus just directly being like who's in power, who's not in power. That's the most powerful stance for you to be in. Which again, these are some of these questions are like more advanced mechanic type stuff. But it has to do with like how you view things. Again, whether it's starting with you and am I winning or am I losing, or if it's starting with other people, are they winning or are they losing? Your proper perspective is to be viewing the power dynamics in others. Because it's like you need to know where the power is, and if you're so caught up with like, do I have the power or do I not have the power? Like you'll always be questioning that. That'll always be a great distraction for you, and you can use the distraction. How you say, what's it called? Constructively. Sarah John, what's up? I didn't see you in my. Sarah John 21. Nice to meet you as well. Welcome to the chat. I'm looking at Twitch now for the first time, and I don't. It's not showing up in my my multi-streamer chat, which is annoying. But anyway, day's going really well. Um, Thanks, determination, hot thirst, got it. Yes. Okay, hot thirst. So liquids that are above body temperature. So like soups and stuff like that. And work on like making the soups or being involved in the transforming or the creation of the soup is going to be really helpful. Again, like even like the mechanic of like cutting vegetables, that's part of transforming a meal. Um, so that's going to be your proper digestion is hot thirst above body temperature. Doesn't mean it has to be super hot, but like tea would be really great for you. I would say if you're starting your morning with anything other than like hot tea, you're probably missing out. Direct light determination. It's about the way your food looks. Do eye exercises before you eat. And if you're direct light, like eat in the direct light. Eat when the sun is up. When the sun goes down, don't eat. Unless you're wanting to like get more sluggish. But quite simply, direct light is literally that. Like again, these determination stuff, they're very simple. Um, and also some again, the mind's one of the curses of the mind is that it's never enough. It's too simple. There's got to be more to it. Well, yeah, your body has to do it. Okay, can I control the body and make sure that the body recognizes it and make a note and, build a whole tutorial on it? Like, yeah, sure you could, or you could just fucking do it with your body. Excuse me. Read in natural light. Yeah, so it's not about what food, it's how it looks to me. In a way, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're eating like organic food, that's probably going to process better in your system than like Jack in the Box, but how good does Jack in the Box actually look to you? And if it does look good to you, again, what lenses are you wearing to make it look good? It's not necessarily all about what it looks, but the mechanics of your eyes are going to help. So it's like, for instance, we have four muscles on our eyeballs. We also have four muscles back here under our occipital lobe. And so one of the things that you can do is you can do these like head panning exercises. Keep your eyes looking at your food, relax your face, smell one way, swallow, exhale, smell the other way, keep your eyes on your food. This is getting your eyes and the muscles on the back of your head to start to sync up with each other. So that way, when you put food in your mouth, your eyes have considered the food as opposed to you just putting food in your mouth. That's how you do direct light. Same thing with indirect light, except instead of doing it on, how you say, in the daytime, eat when the sun goes down. So I've seen you on Instagram as far as I can remember. You seem like a pretty good stream to me. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Sarah. Yeah, oh, they're coming through now. This is great. Cena. Okay, last question from me. Trajectory to master. Okay, so trajectory is the part of human design where it tells us like what you started off as and where you're here to be, right? So you started off as a student learning, and your trajectory is to become a master. So Cena, in this life, it's like you're here to become a master of what? It doesn't really matter. Human design doesn't have information necessarily about like what things we're going to choose. We have to use the information so that we choose for ourselves what's accurate. Hopefully that makes sense. This is making me hungry. I have not looked at mine much. High sound. Right. So it's like high sound, I'm low sound. And so low sound and lower vibrations like before I eat, I'll usually hum or I'll say some prayers, like mumble prayers, not because I'm trying to like invoke stuff or give. I'm just like I'm preparing my digestive system. That's also part of my prayer to my body of like being healthy has to do with making when I'm doing soft tissue and I'm doing exercises, I'm oftentimes like so cha-cha with the high sound, this has to do with listening, right? So ear exercises. And then also when you're eating, play around with some of those, which I have a feeling you'll have no problem making some high sounds while you're eating your food. Let's go back to Instagram here. Been feeling pretty low energy since the full moon eclipse. How have y'all been? Just downloaded Neutrino Design. What's up, Eric? Yeah, I've been feeling lit up. My circadian rhythm is super wacky right now, which is always fun because as a reflector, I've recognized that sometimes surprise comes in a form that I don't like. That if I just surrender to whatever form it's coming in, I find a way to enjoy it. And so, if you're low energy, consider again. It's like what you low energy. How do you perceive that? Are you perceiving yourself as lazy? Are you perceiving yourself as going to make good use of the time, not make good use of the time? What is your response to that? um, because it doesn't really matter how I am, because I got my own body, right? You got your own body. So anyway, I'm an astrologer. I'm a starter in learning HD, but 2 years into astrology. Cool. So astrology is not necessarily helpful in human design, other than like just recognizing there's like an energetic world and a physical world. But when it comes to like using astrology in human design, there astrology is not necessarily a part of human design. Like you don't need astrology. It doesn't make you bad at human design. But again, it's like there's all these systems that are looking outwards up into the stars, down into the microbiome of the earth. But like, where are the systems that are actually looking at the body that are not saturated with like be sexy or secretly saturated with try to be sexy? Yeah, like self discovery and astrology go really well together, but there are no move sets in astrology that help people understand anything about their physiology is what I'm saying. It's personality stuff and energy stuff, which is great, but if that doesn't have anywhere to sit in the body, like oftentimes people are like, "Oh yeah, astrology is, helps me stay grounded or it helps me to manifest." And I'm like, no, it doesn't. You think it does. But you know what helps you get grounded? If you can push your perineum down, right? You know what helps you manifest? If you can you can like widen your neck. And that's not me being like, we have the only solution. This is like, guys, we don't need to create other solutions. Like we have to manifest. You want to become a better manifester? Strengthen your neck, right? You want to become more fulfilled at your career? Do blood bending. Learn how you say, yeah, get out of the head. Yes, it's more heady. Yeah, get out of the head, get into the body, because once you're in the body, and this is what sensory design and the archive is all about, is helping people get into the body. The questions of the mind, a lot of them just become completely outrageous, ridiculous. Like you don't need to answer to that question. Like, oh, he's that way because his Mercury is in this house and that house. And I'm like, no, he's that way because he's conditioned that way. Most people are not even well versed astrologers. You look at their astrology and they're like, "Oh yes, I've been studying this for so long. I know my astrology so well." I'm like, "All right, then why does your nervous system behave like the exact opposite?" Serious question. A lot of people that are psychics and empaths and astrologers, their nervous systems are fried. So anyway, I'm not sure about astrology, but then I'm a Pisces and indecisive. Right, yeah, I'm a Pisces too. Sometimes I'm indecisive. That's not because of astrology, in my opinion. It's because of the constitution of my physical body and the relationship that my physical body has with my mind. Again, my mind could make it all about astrology, in which case I'm putting myself in this very pretty box. And I'm not trying to, blow up astrology. It's not that I think it's a bad system. I just think that there's a system that takes more higher precedence over astrology. And if you don't have this system integrated, then astrology is just a masturbation permission slip. And it's like it's the nervous system in the physical body. This goes for all spiritual systems. Like if your only way to regulate your nervous system is to do Kundalini Kriyas, you've missed the point of Kundalini. Kundalini is not here so that you can memorize all the Kriyas and get initiated. It's so that you can learn about your body and the awakening of the sleeping serpent at the base of your spine, right? Eventually, you shouldn't need these systems because we have the superior system in our bodies. That's the way I think things are. And if you're like me and you want to actually like cultivate an internal authority, that's what I created my membership for. It's called the Archive, and we use human design and sensory exercises and biomechanics to teach how to cultivate the inner authority. We don't give you anything. We give you the right questions and some moves to explore, but ultimately it's your alchemical experiment that you have to run for yourself so that you can get the self-esteem from it. Like I could flex on you guys so much harder and get a bunch of self-esteem and inflate my ego. I don't want to do that. I've actually spent many years already doing that. And it doesn't really like pay as well or feel as good as I thought it would. So now I'm doing this other thing, which is still human design and still in the vein, but it's a little different. It's just a little different. I'm a reflector and I track the moon, but I really don't notice some changes when I have transits. I feel like the more changes with my woman cycle, do you have some tips on how to really track the moon? So for a woman, that is your moon. Um, and the reason I say that is because the lunar cycle is not necessarily here to um, tell us how we're supposed to be. Like the transits are not here to tell us how we're supposed to be or like detect shifts. It's here as a recognition of the longer rhythmic patterns within nature. Basically teaching us patience and essentially that, hey, if it's meant to be, it will fucking work out. That's what the lunar cycle has taught me. Garrett, what's up? We back. Yeah. So one of the ways that you can track the moon is by tracking your cycle as a woman. And not to say that you should just let go of tracking the moon, but one of the things that I'll do is like sometimes I'm surprised, like, oh wow, the moon is full. Because I'm not obsessively tracking it because it's not like the moon only has information for me during certain times. When I'm feeling troubled, I go out and I listen to the moon. When I'm feeling stuck, I go out under the moonlight and I do a little dance. But it's about the moon shining on your body, not the moon. Because the moon shining on someone else's body has a different message and energy for them. So, for instance, if you're judging yourself for not tracking the changes, it's like you don't need to track the changes better. You need to just be more present in the body. That's kind of what I would say. Because it's fun to track the moon, but straight up, I've gotten more information from just literally going out under the moon when I need the moon and being with her. And again, this is like it's not like I wrote the Bible on how to be a reflector, but I'm doing things that most reflectors wouldn't even attempt. They wouldn't even attempt it because human design says, "Oh, you're supposed to be this way and that way," and people are using human design like a personality test when that's not what it is. It's not a personality test. It's like an X-ray. Right? If you actually use it like an X-ray instead of a personality test, what you can learn is that, oh, hey, here are some areas where I'm going to be overcompensating. Here's areas where I'm going to be undercompensating. And a lot of reflectors will bypass learning about the authorities and the organs in their bodies and confronting some of the authorities in their body as a way of like, oh, I just need to track the moon. No, you don't. You need to learn about every single authority, how it operates, what sensations are in there. Like for instance, G authority. Feel your liver right now. And for probably a lot of you, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? Feel your liver. Like where even is the liver in the body? Me, you saw me take a breath. You don't know if I'm actually feeling my liver. You know who knows? Me and my partner and my friends. Because when I'm disconnected from my G center, which is undefined, I'm not able to accurately perceive the direction from other people. And if it was defined and I was saturating my liver, the actual organ, and the blood, which is the actual corresponding physiological link in human design, if I'm not actually doing that and I have a defined G center, my perception of my own direction is going to be off. So this is the thing, it's like healthy defined centers, healthy undefined centers rely on your actual connection with the physiological organ. It's not like you can just learn everything about the G center and suddenly you've healed your G center. Like you have to heal your blood. You have to be able to hear your blood moving through your veins. And it's not actually that hard. Like literally if you take your, especially if you do it right here, you can hear your blood moving through your veins. So anyway, is there a way to find a chart without exact birth time? Yeah, you would just use like, you would just use um, another time. You can pay someone for birth time rectification, or you could just explore all of the different variations of your body graph during that time. So, Marty Muke, much love, my friend. Yeah, there's no atmosphere up there, but we can create it for ourselves, hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Good talk, my friend. It has been real. Much love. See you next time. It has been real great. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. You guys make it great. Like, again, without you guys and gals here, I would literally just be in my bus talking to myself. And it's not that I don't enjoy talking to myself, it's that I've met some people through this platform, through these platforms, that were at somewhere where they really didn't want to be. And now, because of the work that we're doing together, like they're able to recognize where that position is and where they want to go, and they're on their way, right? They're on their way because I was here to say, like, hey, stop fucking dragging your feet, join the archive. Don't complain about how long the videos are. Just do the fucking videos. Like, you make time for so many different things in your life. Everyone gets 24 hours in a day. Make time for this, because this is the one thing. Like, if you've tried everything, this is the one thing that if you actually do this thing, it will fundamentally change the way that you perceive reality and process reality as a whole. It will make human life, it will make being human so much more graceful than you ever thought it could be. And it's so simple. It's behind a $37 paywall. It's so cheap. Honestly, it's so affordable. So, okay, thanks. I let go of tracking the moon because it didn't make sense for me. Thanks for sharing your point of view on the subject. Totally. And again, it's like I go through phases where I'm like really intensely tracking the lunar cycles, but I've found that that just adds a lot of, mental noise versus when I'm actually dancing under the moon, or when I'm like, and this is the thing about the mind, is this is the way the mind subtly will steal authority from the body. Is it goes like, well, if I can keep track of it, then I can make it better. And then what happens is you start getting more obsessed with the tracking of it than the actual doing of it, almost to the point where you'll do something because you can track it, even though if it doesn't actually do anything for you. Does that make sense? And that's a painful place to be. That's where a lot of people with undefined centers will get trapped. They'll start doing something, think they need to be doing that thing forever, tracking it, the mind starts to get involved. And then now suddenly, like juicing, your body doesn't want to be juicing. It wants to be eating, raw meat, or it wants to be eating raw fruit. But because you're so good at tracking the juicing, and you've made a habit tracker and you post it online, and people are expecting you to drink your juice every morning so they can show up, it's like, bro, you locked yourself into a reality where there's no movement allowed, and that's very dangerous, especially for a reflector, right? Like, I'm locked into Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The minute this doesn't feel good to me, guys, the minute I'm not stoked on Monday morning to wake up and go live at 9 a.m., I'm not going to do this anymore. I do this because I really enjoy it, not because it, like, oh, I get makes content. I'm able to introduce people to my thing. I'm doing this because genuinely I hear myself say things here that I don't say, because there's a certain dynamic here with myself and with y'all that is uh, brings things out of me that don't normally come out. And so I'm grateful for this space, and I'm learning a lot from this space. Yes, there's ways that I've found ways to leverage this to enhance my business, but it's not really about that. I don't do things unless I genuinely want to do them. And you can do the same fucking thing, but you have to bet on yourself. It's like literally like, oh, you're the underdog, but if you bet on yourself, you can do things on your turn. But if you bet on the champ, the one that everyone thinks they're gonna win, then it's like you will exist. Like, you'll be right, but you won't be happy. Like, how many of you guys, genuinely, how many of you guys in the past year have made decisions so that you could be right about something as opposed to being happy? Be honest. Like, have you made any decisions this year where you've let go of your happiness so that you could be right about something? I know I have. There's been instances where my partner is like actually right about something, but I want to be right. And so I work it out so that I'm right, but now I'm not. Now neither of us is happy because I didn't want to be wrong. It happens all the time, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. But it is a dysfunction, in my opinion. I'd rather be happy than right. Straight up. Dance is my path. Yes. Dance is everyone's path. Like, recognize we're all here to dance. We're all here to sing. It's not just a handful of people that are supposed to be dancing and singing. You know what? We're been hearing a very subtle. God, sense of hearing way too good. Um, who determines who is worth watching and who is worth listening to when it comes to dancing and singing? Who determines that? I gotta pee. Are you Reikimarco on Venmo for gifts? Oh, Roberta, yes, I 100% am. I also have a link on my website called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can essentially donate if you guys want to donate. Thank you so much for even considering that, Roberta. Um, yeah, yeah. I'm Reiki Marco everywhere because Reiki saved my life, and it's been a part of everything since I ever started doing anything. It was always like Reiki comes first because it's like saying God comes first for me. Um, not that Reiki is some god that I worship, but that Reiki is quite literally the life force that animates everything inside of me and animates everything outside of me. And the more in alignment I can be with it, and not by way of manipulating myself, but again, like I said, I don't do things unless I want to do them. And you can be the same. I'm a reflector. I'm like super like ADD. I'm like I don't know what I'm doing before I do it. I figure it out as I go. You're the first content I saw that got me into HD. Well, freaking awesome. I love being the first. That's part of my design. I have Gate 51, which is the Gate of Shock, and it's the will to be first. I love being the introduction to human design because straight up, my introduction to human design, like I had to, in a way, introduce myself. I had to learn myself. And so I love being that first introduction for you because I have a very unique perspective on human design, and you're never going to be able to unsee my perspective, right? You're never going to be able to see a human design analyst that's in their head in ajna and be like, oh yeah, this person knows what they're talking about. Like, yeah, but their body doesn't believe a word of it. Their body is still super dysregulated. You're never going to be able to unsee that. And this is the thing that most people don't want. They don't want the masses to be educated. Education, educo, means to lead out from within. They don't want the masses to be leading themselves. Why? Because then they're not going to look to us to be the leaders anymore. Well, that's only valuable if you're the one leading or getting paid to lead. Most situations, it's a survival thing. And since then, we've gotten so far from survival, we can't actually perceive real danger from fake danger or synthesized anger. I will talk about the shift, and I just remembered I have to pee as well because I felt the pressure in my bladder. And now it's lessened because I've ignored it for a second, but it is there. So I am going to go pee. But when I come back, I'm going to talk about 2027, but only if I have 27,000 likes. Just kidding. I'll talk about it either way. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I want to keep streaming, so I'm going to keep streaming. But I also want to do some exercises, so I'm also going to do some exercises. That's right. You guys don't know it, but you're on a floating desk. So anyway, thanks for your videos on innocence and motivation this week. Oh, you're welcome. A lot of that stuff, again, it's like I don't have a strategy for posting on social media. I like post the things that I reflect the things when I see them in a way that hopefully is insightful or gets people to ask questions. Um, it's not, again, I don't have a strategy. Which, if you want to be my social media strategist, or something like that. If anyone there out there wants to help me with this and you have the skills necessary to help me, I'm open to it. I'm definitely not closed off. So let's see. How are we doing here, guys? So I am now, by the way, just for anyone that is curious, I'm using these clubs and I'm putting them like this, and I'm putting my foot on top of them like this. Okay, this is called kettle feet or foot conditioning, or it has a lot of names. Basically, what I'm doing is the fascia on the bottom of my foot, I'm forcing my fascia to surrender to this so that it can kind of like reset. I'm looking to like melt the bottom parts of my feet. And if you want to do this, you can do this with a broom. Just lay a broom down. Very simple, very sensational. Like it hurts. It hurts. And what I'm looking to do is reprogram my sense of pain so that it stops viewing stimulation, all types of stimulation, as painful. Like this isn't, pain is used as a indicator that like, oh, something is wrong. And so when we start to do stuff like this where we're training the body, hey, not all pain, not all sensation is run away from this, you're in danger. Some sensation is like, oh, we're pulling something bad out of it. Or it's like, for instance, there's the pain of getting shot, and then there's the pain of removing the bullet from your wound. And the pain of removing the bullet from your wound is necessary if you don't want to die. Anyway, we're going to go live for at least another 20 minutes because I just got on these. So I'll usually do this for about 10-15 minutes. And let's go back to the chat. I've dropped a follow to catch more awesome content. Thanks, Sarah. So stoked. I don't have many followers over on Twitch, but one of my dreams, because I love gaming and I love anime, I'm such a freaking nerd. One of my dreams is to actually have a show where I stream and we talk about stuff like this. And so anyway, or pulling an arrow through. Exactly, Ellington. That's exactly it. Do you have any tips for getting rid of apathy? You inspired me previously. Yeah, so like apathy and this general like melancholy of like nothing is worth doing. Sprinting is one of my favorite like resets, like literally just sprinting. Let's see some other ways that I'll get over apathy. Oh, I'll go into like super apathy mode. So it's like, for instance, one of like apathy, like when you're on your phone, is not really apathy because your mechanics are still focused. This is why a lot of people get these wires crossed, is because like they think they're being relaxed, but they're really still focusing on a TV or something. And so when I mean go into super apathy mode, there's 3 movements of the eyes that can trigger relaxation. One of them is looking up, the other is looking into the peripheral, and the other is like slow movement. So basically you just combine all 3. What you do is you give yourself, you know, 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you set a timer, you're not using your phone, you're not watching TV, or if you are, you're not directly looking at it. And then you just lay down and you cross your arms over your body, right? This is an important piece about it because we're looking to weave everything together. And then you just look up. Do it without scrunching the eyebrows like that, but you just look up. Getting some things in my feet. You look up and you just hold your eyes up for like half the time, relatively speaking. And then you start to breathe the eyes over to one corner, exhale them back to the center. Inhale to one corner, exhale. Do that like 5 or 6 times, and then inhale and just keep them up there for a couple minutes. Inhale, keep them up there for a couple minutes. Like tune deeper into the boring and the apathy, and there's something beautiful that would emerge out of that. I can't say it's like you're going to be less apathetic. You might discover more apathy, whatever. Be aware though, there's a difference between like truly being relaxed and thinking that you're relaxing. If you're on your phone or if your eyes are focused on anything in particular while you're relaxing, you're not relaxing. Cloud watching is not focusing on one cloud and being like, that cloud is that. Cloud watching is watching all of the clouds move at one time. Your eye is not jumping around to focus on anything. Do you consider using artwork on your stream to attract more followers and viewers? That could work. You mean like literally on the visual of the stream. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people like the there's a lot of people playing games and just chatting about stuff, which I feel like at some point I will probably get into that, especially because I got into Monster Hunter, which is pretty freaking cool. I always thought that game was kind of weird, but then I played it and it's kind of tight. Well, I'm an artist, do work for streamers. There's stuff like cool logo. Honestly, I haven't. I have a bunch of my own artwork that I could use. I appreciate your invitation, but I have a bunch of my own artwork. I just haven't uploaded any of it. So anyway, oh man, Monster Hunter, good times, right? Like, should I do this? And I'll be transparent with you guys. There's a part of me that's like, oh, if the internet knows I like playing games, then they're not going to take my advice spiritually, which is like really silly because it is true. Some people will feel that way. But to them I say, that's fine. You can feel that way. The people who are able to like see things for how they actually are, or that wants to see things for how they actually are, that's who I'm here for. For the people that are going to be confused and doubtful and all that stuff, they can be all of that. As I'm not here to like change people's opinions. So life is all one spiritual video game, right? Well, I'm also very fascinated in, because one of the things that the video games as a problem poses is that people are spending more time like this than in their bodies, and there's a posture associated with gaming, and it's called kyphosis. This is like, curling up to die versus exaltation, right? Exalting. This is gravity crushing you down. This is you expanding up against gravity. And so, something that I think is really important is recognizing that it's not necessarily the video games, it's what we have to subject our bodies to in order to play the video games. Like, I play, sometimes I'll grab my controller and I'll use like my middle finger for the triggers and my pinky and ring finger for the underside paddles. Yeah, I got one of those controllers. Um, I'll play around with different ways of playing it because, again, it's the patterns that we go to over and over and over and over again that ultimately become sort of dysfunctional, especially when they're not like inherent. If that makes sense. Like inherent patterns, locomotion, running, walking, hugging, pushing things away, singing, dancing, all of these stuff is inherent. When we become stagnant or we're in one position for so long, and it happened first with like desks and keyboards, people started to invent ergonomic keyboards that were more representative of how the body could use technology in a healthy way. And we're at like, there's going to become a point, guys, when we're going to wear glasses or we're going to use computers with our mind, where these problems are not going to exist because we're not going to force our bodies to do these kinds of things. And there's a big problem there. I said I talk about 2027. This is kind of it. When we get AR and VR and we're able to like use computers and technologies with our brains without sacrificing, that's going to be very dangerous, because this point right now where we're actually sacrificing our bodies, this is like the only blip in time of the technological future where we're actually going to figure out like, oh, technology is a stress, it's an inspiration, it's a stress, it's a type of pressure that if we don't learn how to acclimate with the pressure, using the pressure, then we're just going to be lost to the. Is anyone keeping up with me here? I might just be talking to myself, but that's totally fine. What I'm saying is that the more that technology advances, once it gets to the point where we can control computers with our eyes and with our mind, the dysfunctions that we're seeing in humanity, the portal to access them is going to disappear. It's going to be like, why are all these new diseases popping up? Right? And it's going to be like, oh, because we're using computers with our minds and with our eyes, and that's not what our minds and eyes were designed to do. We designed something that uses the mind and the eye, just like human beings were not designed to use smartphones or laptops. Laptops and smartphones were designed to use human beings. And now that we have AI and VR, it's not like all this shit is just magically going to go away. 2027 is about future proofing your nervous system and your locomotion, your movement patterns. Because once it goes away, it's going to be a lot harder to find these dysfunctions and work on them. which is kind of scary. So it's like you got, imagine if you only had 2 years to prepare your nervous system for what's going to come in 2027. Let's say that I don't even know what's going to come in 2027, but if you're going to survive it and you're going to thrive in it, you're going to need to be able to perceive reality the way that it's actually happening, not with some virtual or augmented overlay based in emotions or based in Maya and mind. It's going to be an actually being able to perceive reality how it's actually happening. It means your eyes can't be glued to your head. It means your ears have to be mobile. They can't be glued to your head. It means you have to know how to get information into your body through your neck. Know when to shut up. Know when to open your mouth and speak. This is all internal authority stuff. And human design has this promise, like 7 years of using human design, and you're going to be fully conditioned. But if you don't actually change the behaviors and your nervous system and your patterns, you're not changed. You just have more information in your head. And we're looking to help people with that. That's why we created the archive, is to help people drop out of the head into the body with simple exercises. Oh man. Don't forget, I'm doing my foot tempering over here. And it is quite intense. So anyway, yeah, this has been good. This has been really good. 2027 is one of the most fascinating things, is because it's like, what does 2027 mean? To you, it doesn't mean anything, but to someone who is actively working on their body, that's like when the game begins. That's when the game is released, is 2027. And the game is having to live among a superior species of human being called rave beings, rave children. They're going to be the most individual things that we've ever seen, and we're not going to know how to comprehend them. They're going to fundamentally change society because they're all going to be that way. And we're going to look at them and think that they need to be medicated and that they need to be, socialized. And it's like there's going to be a whole freaking X-Men war against the rave human beings. And then there's going to be those of us, like the X-Men, who are giving them safe havens and connecting them to their pentas and connecting them to their bodies. It's giving press conference. This is giving press conference vibes, isn't it? And I genuinely would be happy to aid people that are in this situation, and I'm trying to find the best way to do it without destroying myself, because this is, again, like, why do I have this body? Why do I have all the things, that experiences? It's like it must be for some reason. And it's like I could spin my gears in my mind and make up the most beautiful story, but if I don't actually respond to the things that's in front of me, I'll spend so much time making the story and no time actually living the story. And that's what a lot of people do. Stay amazing. I will do my best. I will do my best, my friend. Be the best version of myself, but also allow myself to be the not best version of myself and be comforting, but not coddling to that part of myself. Yeah, you are right. I feel that way a lot. I feel like a lot of people feel the way I feel. That's why it's been so fun to like go live and do these things, because I find that my opinion is not necessarily a very popular one, because it's much easier to talk about this kind of stuff when I'm talking about it within other people. But as you guys have kind of noticed, I'll call myself out on stuff, like I just did a little while ago with the video games and stuff. And still, even then, I'm not gonna like start streaming tomorrow, because I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm genuinely working through my own resistance towards like just streaming and chatting. So, no, it is, but we can all relate. It's about learning and growing why we are here, right? And so that's, that's part of the reason why I keep coming on here and talking, is because it's like, dude, being the best version of yourself is an idea that your mind sold you to prevent you from actually discovering who you are, because who you are is the best version. It's the only one that's actually alive and online and on the planet. Your best self, highest self, is somewhere high above the clouds after 17 ceremonies, and after I've healed this trauma with this person. But it's like the version of you that's actually here is more valuable than your highest self, because that's one that you can actually work with. I really love dancing in extreme slow motion. Do you experiment with this? 100%. Going from slow motion to fast, dynamic. This is what makes music interesting. And it's what makes martial arts deadly. Because if you're moving slow, ooh, ooh. If you're moving slow, it's kind of harder to see, or it can be deceptive what you're going to do next. So anyway, what do dancing and music do to our souls? Such a beautiful question. I would say that dancing and music are ways for our souls to be expressed in the physical body. As for what it does for the soul, it creates a level of tangibility so that people can feel something when they're seeing it, or so that you, as the one that's channeling it, can feel something or not feel something. Sometimes singing and dancing is a way to escape an idea or a pain or something in your life. And again, it can be healthy or unhealthy. It's not like, oh, if you're avoiding something that's inherently unhealthy. No, sometimes avoiding things, especially things that are unhealthy, avoiding things is sometimes very healthy. Feet are really can be used in the same way we use fingers. I move my left foot is based on a true story and really insightful. Oh, my left foot. Yeah, like if you want to know the truth of someone, how someone feels, like look at their feet. Like if two people are talking and their feet are facing each other, they're into it. If one person's like this person's not as into it. If this person's like this, they're already trying to leave the conversation. And you can telegraph that to people. Some people don't pick up on those cues though. Or they're picking up on them, but they're ignoring them because they want your attention. Anyway, it definitely is lovely and beautiful. Escape dancing is great talk. You guys are the best. Appreciate y'all. Great questions that we got here. I can't equalize the pressure in my ear/head. How can I work with that? Has it something to do with me speaking too much when I shouldn't? You already know. Reflector, you said earlier I have open throat center. Sina, yes, 100%. So one of the reasons why, for instance, your ears might be releasing pressure is because you don't necessarily know how to contain. That's why you speak. Because like, I don't know what to do with it. I feel like I have to say this, so I'm just going to say it. And then you end up putting your foot in your mouth, right? And so one of the things that you can do is when you're pressurizing, right? Get to the point where your ears pop. And then instead of letting it pop, see if you can't sit right at the edge of like right before your ears pop. So if I'm doing it, watch. My ears just pop there. So I'm going to get right up to right before they pop. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to turn my head. It's like a balloon that's popping. And instead of just popping the balloon over and over again, you fill it up so it stretches. And then you give it some time to like stabilize. And then you fill it up more and then it stretches. Then it gives some time to stabilize. So anyway, Sina, great question. And again, you would have figured that out on your own, hopefully. But this isn't still an exploration that you have to encompass. Looking for that music will have me in rhythm like Joy Boy Luffy. So I'm just getting into One Piece and this whole like Joy Boy Luffy um, ecstasy thing. I'm so excited to get to that part. I don't know it yet, but music is so important because again, there's certain, and one of the reasons why music is so important is because it's literally a vibration that moves us. Like, why do people go to concerts? It's not because they like the artists, it's because they like the sonic massage that they get from massive speakers blasting them with sound. It's a sonic massage. And there's certain parts of your body that no massage therapist, no doctor, no chiropractor can touch, that music will just penetrate you. Same thing with light and same thing with neutrinos. There's parts of your body that no one can touch, no one can do anything for you except you. And dancing and singing touches those parts. It fills the caverns of your body with spirit and with essence, or it will fill it with delusion. It's totally up to, you know, it's up to you and how you process it. So So I've heard some say 2027 will be more important for certain types, projectors, propaganda. I wouldn't call it propaganda. Again, it's like for me, 2027, everyone's going to say a lot of stuff. It's really fun to like, cast your predictions in the pocket because it's like, oh, look, I'm on record for saying that, yeah, projectors are going to have a hard time. Projectors are always going to fucking have a hard time. What are you talking about? These are not predictions. It's just the head and ajna that's trying to figure out the mind of a god. It's like an ant trying to figure out the intentions of a human being. Like they don't even have the faculties to do that. So what I'm recognizing about 2027 is that fundamentally everything could change. The information that we've been told about it is useful, but not in the sense that like this is a how to survive 2027. No one knows how to survive 27. What we do know is that radical individualism and that is going to come online, and it's going to come online because the planning and the infrastructure is going to start to fall apart. It's a cause and effect. And so when infrastructure falls apart and radical individualism comes online, what do you think there's going to be more of? There's going to be more chaos. There's going to be less access to resources. Projectors are going to have a hard time because projectors are typically some of the least embodied type. Why? Because they're geared to look at other people and experience other people. Reflectors are also some of the least embodied types, but it's not because of their type, it's because of their lack of embodiment practices. Oh my God, Destiny's racking it up with the tiny dinosaurs. You like this 2027 talk, huh? Let me give it to you more. So, this is about future proofing your nervous system so that when there's no water in the tank, instead of freaking out and panicking, your body starts to look for water, right? Instead of freaking out that like you're no longer getting your medical benefits, you learn how to heal yourself, right? So, these are the things that, in terms of 2027, and it's fun when I don't have anyone to bounce off of really and resist me, because I'd love to have some more of those conversations around what people think is going to happen in 2027 versus like what's happening now as we're preparing for 2027. There's a lot of podcasts of people filling people's heads with information about 2027 that's super fucking irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant. Projectors are going to have a harder time. Who gives a fuck? Again, everyone's going to have a hard time with it. Why? What is the challenge that's going to come on? Cross of planning is going away. Cross of the sleeping phoenix is waking up. Emotions, nervous system, resources. That's 2027. Learning human design isn't going to do shit for your emotions, resources, or nervous system. I mean, it might to a degree, but until you actually engage in the experiment, that's what helps. Human design is just a map. You have to go look for the treasure that's on the map. If you just have a map and you're like, oh, I got all this treasure, you're delusional. That's not it. People buy reports that they never read. And they're like, oh, human design is pseudoscience. I tried it for 3 months and yeah, my life didn't get any better. What'd you do? Oh, I just read my report and tried to make some changes. It's like, ah, cool. I don't argue with those people. I'm a mental projector, so that's why I've been feeling called to get into my body and integrate. Exactly. Yes. And again, having no inner authority or having the mental authority, what you have to recognize is that the transit is going to shift you a lot, and then other people's designs are going to shift you a lot. So having no inner authority like me and having an environmental or lunar authority isn't everyone has to be nice to you. It's dude, you gotta be a fucking ninja. Like, you gotta be more robust emotionally than all of the types. And not that, like, you have to have a specific way of processing your emotions, but you have to be discerning. You have to know how to process emotion. You have to be able to handle heat. You have to be able to handle pressure. Otherwise, human design puts you into this, like, you're like a worm thing. You're some soft, squishy worm thing. Super helpful. Thank you so much, Marco. You're very welcome. What is this prediction? I didn't hear about it at all. So Ra, it's the cross of planning shifting into the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So basically in 2027, the entire globe is going to move out of the cross of planning, which is about infrastructure, governments, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, communities, etc., and into sleeping phoenix, which is literally about the individual and emotional authority. So anyway, It's so important for all the projectors, reflectors, all of the human beings, generators, manifesting generators, and manifestors too. I'm not trying to single anyone out. So important for you guys to train your nervous system. The best place that I know how to do that is in the membership that I created with my partner Pasha. We created a membership that's going to help show you how to use your body graph to temper your nervous system. It's going to show you how to physically decondition yourself. So anyway, what's for you the area of knowledge that human design beings should learn and invest in time to be able to live in the future in the most peaceful way? It makes sense. So again, it's in somatics. It's in the somatic connection to your body. So pressure and heat. I'm creating more pressure in my rib cage, and then I'm using my lungs to create even more pressure. One of the things, especially that a lot of people have in terms of dysfunction, is the heart, right? If you have a defined heart, like you're here to prove yourself. If you have an undefined heart, you're going to think that you're here to prove yourself. And every time you do it, it's going to suck and not feel great. What does the defined heart actually want? Each heart knows. We have a meeting today? We do. Hey, I'm so sorry, sis. I remember you rescheduled, but I don't remember where you rescheduled to. That's hilarious. You would hop on my live and be like, "We have a meeting today." God. I guess I was just having such a good time. All right. Give me 2 minutes here to sign off, and then we're gonna do it. We're gonna meet. I'm very excited to meet with you, sis. It'll be good. All right, guys. Well, I apparently have a meeting. Thank you so much for everyone's time. I love you guys. I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. Please tune in. You're more than welcome to tune in. I had do one-on-ones, obviously. I have reports for sale. I have a great app if you want to like track the technicals of human design. And then I also have this membership that I've been going on and on about called the Archive for physical deconditioning. And I invite everyone to come join, check it out. It is literally like the coolest thing, the most important thing that we all need to work on is our nervous system descending into the bodies. It's not elevating ourselves or transcending experience, it's descending into the body. So with that, I love you guys. I'm going to go do this session with one of my favorite people that I've ever done sessions with. Love you guys. See you soon. Oh my God. Oh, it's so funny.